Titan Toy Expo.
Join us in Nashville, Tennessee for the Creators Crown Awards. Over $5,000 in cash prizes. Different categories for submission including Best Diorama, Best Original 3D Sculpt, Best Custom Action Figure, and Best Action Figure Photography. Bring your submissions to this year's Titan Toy Expo, October 25th and 26th. Learn more about the event at CreatorsCrownAwards.com.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome, everyone, to the 3POA podcast, episode 109. I'm your host, LaserPants, also known as Ryan. I'm joined tonight, as always, by the man behind Action Force and the CEO of Valaverse, Bobby Vala.
What is happening?
What's going on, man? Nice shirt, nice Pandora shirt there.
Thanks, man.
I'm digging it. How are you?
I'm good. Spent some time in the sun today, did a bunch of yard work,
you too.
All day I kept thinking about this show. I was excited, baby. Excited.
I think it's going to be a good one.
Never thought it would happen. Look at that, 250 people already watching.
Wow, that's good. Is that an adult beverage? What is that?
Sure is. I'm celebrating the occasion, buddy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, me too. I'm having my first drink since Toy Expo, which was...
Also, our guest did tell me that I could fly off the handle. So I figure I might as well have as many drinks as I can and get, really pumped up. I'm just kidding. I'm going to behave tonight. I'm going to behave.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to give him an intro. Everyone knows who he is. He is the former, marketer? Global chief. I looked at his LinkedIn. Global chief marketer for Marvel Legends. Maybe I'll let him say it, huh?
Yes. It's like director of global brand something. I don't know.
All right, let's bring him in. Please welcome to the show for the first time, Ryan Ting. Welcome, man.
Thank you.
That's your intro
music. I appreciate that.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been thinking a little bit about this too. Connected with Bobby earlier this week, and so we'll just throw caution to the wind. I guess it's a good thing if you put that thumbnail out there and everyone's like, "Really? This is really happening?"
Oh my God, why would he do that? Those guys are horrible.
Wow.
Guys, Ryan Ting was in this conference room only a few days ago.
What did you think of Valaverse headquarters?
I had seen the fun YouTube videos, the tours, so I kind of knew the layout, but it was very cold. The AC was blasting. And it was awesome. Bobby had a lot of vintage toys set up of the things he collects, and of course all the Valaverse stuff. Very neat, like way tidier than any office that I'd ever have or have worked in. So it's looks to be an operation on the up and up. So I'll give it a big
very
pass.
retentive with everything. Everything has to be just so for Bobby.
I do have some OCD. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah. It's a little ridiculous.
Because my wife isn't, so I have to be.
Yeah.
I remember his office at Hasbro being pretty organized for a designer. Yeah, because you see a lot of them get out of control. Mine was, I think I still have the record for the messiest marketer office ever in the history of the company.
Yours was always pretty messy.
Well,
that's because you got to remember though, like on the Marvel team, it was a lot of females. So it was like, and they're not collectors. So it's like, they're not going to clutter their office with like a lot of figures. So it's like, you were a collector, you were a fan. So it was like, of course you were going to have an office very similar to a designer.
Well, perhaps that's true, but also Bobby, clutter knows no bounds. So let's be fair.
True. That is true.
Well, your setup behind you, speaking of clutter, is actually really cool, man. Very well done. I like it.
It was fun. My wife encouraged, when we got the basement redone, she encouraged us to put up these display units. So there's like they're not like cubes really, but I try to put different kind of stuff in each section. So that's been fun to play with.
I always wondered when you were at Hasbro, like, is this guy really into toys, or is that part of the whole marketing thing?
Maybe I'm just a really good marketer and I don't like toys at all. That would be good. But hey, before we get started, let me just try to see if it's okay. If I could seize control here for 2 seconds. Yeah. So thanks for everyone for tuning in. Hopefully this goes well. And I just wanted to out the gate, right? Like, we all love toys. That's what we want to talk about. I think the reason why I was interested in coming on here was because I think now I'm in a position to be able to talk a little bit more openly and honestly about things than when you're representing a company, right? At that time, I'm not here to bash some people or defend others. Like, I just want to try to explain why some of the things are the way they are, because we're all passionate about this hobby. And sometimes I think when we love things, no matter what they are, we kind of get a little crazy, right? And so let's just take a little step back and try to have some conversations about things. And I'm not out to necessarily change anyone's minds. If certain people feel passionately in one way about another, that's fine. But to maybe shed some light on some factors that, maybe people aren't considering necessarily in this era where everyone is very cynical, and perhaps rightfully so. But like, rooting against things is often as fun as rooting for things in all walks of life, sports, whatever. Right. So, that's kind of why I'm here. And just off the bat too, like, I know you guys have fun on your show and you talk shit about the live streams and the folks, but
that's not true.
That's not true. All right.
Maybe a little bit.
Urban myth.
Overarching thing, right? Like, I wouldn't defend everyone at Hasbro necessarily, but just right off the bat, like, Dwight and Dan, like, those are my guys, right? And I think anyone wants to have valid subjective opinions on the art of things and why certain artistic choices are made. I think those are completely valid, but like, I'm not here to stand for any kind of attacks on them as people, because you guys don't, a lot of the audience doesn't know them. I know them very well. They're stand-up guys. Not only do I think they're talented and very hardworking, but just right, they're family guys. They're good to their families, their kids. They're good to their coworkers and their friends. And so, they're people at the end of the day, and they're my really good friends. And so,
absolutely,
I would go to bat for them under any circumstance. So just wanted to get that out. And then also, Ryan, we are bound by the Ryans take care of Ryans code that we all live by, where the true enemy of the world are the Bryans out there, because thinks that they'll have to add a B in front of the Ryan. And so we just let's have that Ryan connection. Let's
absolutely. No, it's a real problem and it needs to be addressed, and we might as well address it tonight. I can't tell you how many times I've said, "Hi, I'm Ryan," and they say, "Hi, Brian."
They love to throw B's. It's like, there was no B anywhere near any of that. I don't know. I don't get it.
Frankly, I find it to be disgusting. But no, listen, I wanted to have you on because I kind of wanted the Ryan Ting that wasn't bound by Hasbro, rules. So you don't have to walk that corporate line, but of course you're going to be respectful to your former company and coworkers,
of course.
It's not, you're not Bobby Vala.
Anyone who wants leaks and product leaks, just go watch some of those other videos out there, because that's whatever. Yeah, I'm not that's kind of stepping on the line too for what the teams have planned if you're interested in leaks. But
that's what there's just a lot of behaviors for.
Or those man, we can get in the whole topic of that on how does it feel to work on something with a whole team for a year in advance, and then some of it gets dumped out on the internet. And how would that make you feel in your professional life? But that's another topic.
Well, let's go through it. I mean, how did it feel? Did it like actually suck, or were you like, oh well, it leaked?
There's there's competing schools of thought. There were some people in the company where it was like, oh, any publicity is good publicity, right? Those are the people who are not toy collectors and not in the day-to-day managing of the business. Some folks in sales would think that it doesn't change the spending habits, and I think it's a difference of opinion. From my perspective, it totally does, because we are we are a hobby, right? We want to take advantage as marketers and business leaders of the impulse purchase, right? And so if you see something cool and you're on the fence, you want them to jump over the fence and buy it, right? But if someone can plan out their whole years of purchases, that's not, as a business, necessarily what you would want. So you don't want I don't think you want your line list out there for a whole year in advance. You want to play up each reveal with the excitement, and if there's a figure that someone isn't into, then they're not going to be into it. Cool. But if there's one big launch coming out, like something like the team was able to keep off the list, I think, was like the Mephisto made to order announced at San Diego Comic-Con. It's easier to keep certain pulse things off the leaks, but like to do a big reveal like that and then have everyone get excited for Mephisto versus just seeing Mephisto on a line of 30 characters, right? And being like, oh, I guess Mephisto's coming out somehow. Like what is the better consumer experience? I would always vote for the more detailed reveal and the more exciting one.
Yeah, that can be fun. A lot of people use the leak list to like, okay, I'm going to sell this old blob Build-A-Figure I have while the value is still high because I know a new one's coming out in 6 months, So that's kind of how it would help some of us. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to scalp this. Like, I'm going to scalp this old blob for 150.
He's up there. He's up there. There's the old blob is up in my far corner. I think you can see him right there.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's like looking in a mirror.
I hadn't heard that was the real reason why. I think it's also too just the aversion to delayed gratification. It's like everyone wants everything now, right? Like I'm like that with things too, whether it's I used to growing up be a big Magic. I still am a Magic the Gathering player, but like growing up, you're interested in the leaks preview cards, right? Because you just want to see stuff, whether it's movie trailers or whatever. That's just that natural tendency, which we had to fight against when you're working on the marketing team and you've got social media and you've got fan streams and you've got conventions and media reveals and exclusives, and it's just a lot. It's a lot to juggle.
Now, when like an MCU figure, like images would leak before the trailer dropped or the movie was out, would that get Disney on the phone with you guys, and would that cause problems there?
You can kind of tell like when things are or not supposed to be out, and it's not just Hasbro. Like there's lots of Lego and Funko things that appear that maybe the name of the character is a spoiler or the costume is. I'll just say that Disney has very specific timelines for when things want to come out, so you can kind of tell when they shouldn't be. And yeah, like they need to get pulled down, and there's a whole list of protocols that go into not having those things get out there, and that's why we don't really do pre-orders for movie items that far in advance, because it's honestly too risky to have MCU assets just floating in the ether. So we would always kind of like wait for them to appear somewhere else, and then we would go with that. When it's comic-based things, and maybe it's MCU but not new movies, it's like prior entertainment, then there's a little more flexibility. But obviously we would like to control when images actually go out.
Sure. So now be honest, okay? What was it like working with Bobby? I mean, how horrible was he? Was he mean? Did he bully you?
It was awful. He was a Broncos fan for some reason. He was like he had like a Peyton Manning mug or something. Oh, so everyone can give him crap for that. No, Bobby, no, like for real. And this is the reason too why like I kind of kept in touch with Bobby a little bit over the years too. Like, yeah, he's a toy guy. He's passionate. He's a good designer. Clearly, he wouldn't have built his own company, his own successful company, if he wasn't a good designer to begin with, right? And so that I always respected. We got to work on some kid items for Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff like that. And then he started coming over from the 3 3/4 Legends to 6-inch. So we had some fun there. Got to do some New York Comic Cons and San Diego's with him. So yeah, it wasn't completely miserable. Sorry to burst your
12-inch prop replica. We did a lot.
Exactly. Man. Yeah, we launched both of those. Yep. The team already had those in place in 2025, and then I joined the team in 2015. I joined in 2015, and we were launching them in 26. So most of the work was done, but we got to do things like the packaging and the marketing together.
See, here's that Brian problem that we were talking about. It's right here in the chat. We need the mods to ban him. Go ahead and block him, 49er Brian. Anyway,
I remember I got to interview Ryan when he applied, and I hadn't been there that long. I was only there for, I don't know, like 7 or 8 months. I think we spent 3/4 of the interview talking about X-Men Gambit, just because we both love Gambit. So
at that time, Gambit, I think, was on the
no-fly
not able to do list from Marvel, which changes over the course of years. But so when I was at Hasbro doing global brand marketing, working on the Monopoly franchise gaming brand, and then there was this position, associate brand manager on the Marvel team, working on Legends and some of the other kit items, because back then Legends was much smaller, and so they had me do this full day of interviews with 3 or 4 marketers, Dwight and Bobby, separately or together, I forget, probably maybe separately.
We were separate.
And then I took it so seriously. I brought in a wheelie carry-on suitcase from home with comic books and action figures and trading cards, which I think Bobby and I probably talked about, and just went all in on it. And apparently it wasn't even a slam dunk after that. There was some sentiment of is this guy really right for the job? But the gentleman that Bobby maybe had some differing opinions with, I think he took the leap to bring me over on the marketing side. And I think it worked out because I was there for a while, and we got to do a lot of cool stuff, and the business grew manyfold in those years, getting into Infinity War and Endgame. And of course it wasn't due solely to me. I latched on at a good time when the entertainment was rising, but I think being a fan while also being able to do the marketing business end of it, you got to wear 2 hats at all times. I think that helped guide it to where it has been and where it is now and continues to go.
So Bobby interviewed you for the job? A designer?
I was one of them.
You meet with a panel of people because you're going to be, as a global marketer, and we can get into what a global marketer is if you're curious, but they deal with the core development team, right? So that's your product designers, your Bobbies, that's your engineers that help with the costing, that's your program managers, product managers that deal with the scheduling of everything, and then that's kind of your core team. And then you've got packaging when the time comes, you've got copywriting, legal, photography, et cetera, it goes on from there. But your core day-to-day team is your marketer, your designer, your engineer, and your product manager, basically.
What's a day in the life of a Hasbro Marvel Legends marketer like? You show up to the office and what do you do?
Yeah, it's the thing that's cool about it is no day is the same. You do a lot. It's not one of those jobs where you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs. There's fires to put out every single day. And it's at the end of the week, you're just kind of thinking, man, I had so many other things to do. You just have to really constantly prioritize. But you are, I've talked about this before on podcasts with Marvel, but you're living 3 years at a time because you're working with what's in market this year and kind of wrapping it up. And then you're still getting the next year's. So this would be 26 items now, right? You're shepherding the 26 line through the process from approvals on costing to packaging to marketing, right? So you're into that. And now the teams are already planning 2027. What are we doing in 27? So you have to kind of be in all places at a time from a brain space standpoint. And from a day-to-day standpoint, you're in a lot of meetings, you're having a lot of calls. It used to be physical meetings in huge conference rooms pre-COVID, right? But that's evolved since then. And so now everyone's basically just doing Teams, Zooms, whatever. Frequent meetings with the licensor, at least one humongous meeting every week with your licensing partners, and then a bunch of sub meetings as needed. You're doing product gates probably at least every 2 weeks, if not every week. And it's just checking in on a lot of different projects at different stages in time, right? You're doing, the end thing you're doing that's most recent is like, oh, I got a pre-order launching. We have a pre-order launching next week. What are we going to do? We got to market it. We got to make sure everything is set right. And then it's kind of like, oh, what are things that are almost done? It's like, okay, well, maybe we're doing the product photography and working with Shooting the Galaxy, Matt Cohen, for the types of shots we want. And then you back a step further from that. Okay, well, let's finalize the packaging. Do we have any packaging or copy we need to do? And you go back from that before packaging. It's like, all right, are we approved on this product cost and the tooling bill and the forecast we think? And is this going to meet the margins that our leadership has to approve every single step of the way? And then you go back from that and it's like, all right, well, we'll work on concepts. Like we want to do this wave next year. We need to get licensor buy-off. Like, let's have a meeting to talk about it. And then you go back step earlier than that. And it's like, what do we want to do next year? What big events are there? What themes do we want to lean into? And this is before we get the full licensor approval on. And so there's a lot of back and forth in that. So it's like, you can just imagine all of those things happening all at the same time for a bunch of different years. So,
then of course there was what does the 3POA podcast think about what we're doing right now with?
Well, that's the Tuesday 3:45 to 4:15 meeting of digesting the 3POA podcast and what they said. No, like, the big streamers like Dan especially, I would give him the most props. He is probably the most connected marketer, meaning like watching all this stuff outside of work when some folks may not be down to do that. I think I did that a lot as well. But so we certainly see stuff, right? And not to burst the bubble, but like as you might imagine, like our bosses and their bosses and their boss's boss, like, do you guys think they have the time to watch streams or even care about what's going on? No,
just this one.
Just this one? Well,
no, I'm kidding.
We'll see. No, but like we get a good temperature of what's going on and certain big things that are discussed, which there's plenty of examples that we can get into. But does it directly affect the day-to-day? I wouldn't say so, but do we, and Dan and I specifically, and also, Dwight and whoever else is watching and paying attention, does it help shape our thoughts about future projects? Definitely. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned big things, and one of the biggest things that we've discussed on this show is Haslabs, and I want to get into that. But first, man, we have so many chats already. Thank you guys for the super chats and all that questions. Let's get into that for a bit, and then I do want to talk to you about Haslabs. And Bobby, feel free to cut in here whenever.
No, listen, I'm in an interesting spot because I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying hearing Ryan just talk on the show. There's definitely times I want to interject, but I'm just going to be a bystander, just enjoying the show tonight. If you want my take on something, just let me know. Other than that, I'm going to be like someone in the chat, just watching and enjoying.
Okay. Ramen Toy is here. What's up, Ace? He says, hey, Ryan, good to meet you at SDCC after our brief meeting at New York Toy Fair. Looking forward to hear the discussion.
Yeah. Hey, Ace. New York Toy Fair was a little awkward, I will admit. Apologies for that. I wasn't sure what was going on. I thought you needed to get in touch with someone in the booth. But then, yeah, it was nicer to chat further at San Diego.
All right. Let's see here. We got... G. Marcus says, you're fearless. You're a boss. Thanks for a hell of a guest poll. Hey, yeah. Thank you, G. Marcus. Are you a boss?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe before. I don't know.
Kaiju Daddy wants to know, Hasbro bakes the price of... Well, this is kind of a Haslab question. Well, it's fine. I'll ask it. Hasbro bakes the price of product and all tiers into the initial funding price on Haslabs. Yes or no?
Yes and no, but mostly no. So yeah, there's a huge misconception over how tiers are, and as much as I love to take credit for the Marvel Legends team introducing tiers into Haslab for the official tiers, pre-stated tiers, not throw-ins, with the Sentinel Haslab, I think I kind of regret doing it, and I kind of wish we could just go back and not do them, and then no one would ever have to do tiers. Bobby and I were chatting about this week, and I think ideally the way to do it would be like Kickstarter does add-ons that you can purchase that get unlocked if the funding meets a certain threshold, and then you just purchase whatever add-ons you want. Now, e-commerce wise, that would be a nightmare for Hasbro, managing thousands of different transactions of this person got the main thing and then like what little pieces. But like that would be the ideal way to do it from a costing profitability standpoint. But yeah, we'll save that for the robust crowdfund discussion.
Okay. Let's see here. Junkion wants he's letting everyone know to be respectful. We've had enough disrespectful people this week, he says. Thank you, Junkion. Chad's zombie finger eats cats for dinner. Thanks for being a member for 15 months. He says, do you think they will bring back Build-A-Figures? What is your favorite Marvel Legends figure? He's stuck at work. I mean, Build-A-Figures technically aren't gone. They're still doing them, just very few anymore.
They're technically not gone. Yeah, they're just fewer Build-A-Figures each year. We're just in a different time than 2017, 2018, where most waves were Build-A-Figures for Marvel Legends, and that has a lot to do with just your resources and your costs. And
it's about profit, right?
It's about
increasing profits.
Well, we'll see, perhaps, but we don't set the profit level. We are told here's the profit level and what it's going to be, right? And thus we need to then make the product for that. So we are just trying to hit the company targets as anyone would try to if their company said this is what your job description is, right? Your job description is not to ignore the targets and do whatever you want.
Of course. Well, I think everyone knows that those types of decisions were above your head. They were above Dan's head. That was coming from the guys up above. I mean, I even said that to Lenny at San Diego Comic-Con this past year. People, we have to remember that it's not the marketing teams on the live streams and at the booth. It's the guys above them making those calls.
Yeah, the thing, like, this is a bigger topic, but like, I would encourage people, if they're actually curious about how things work, if you guys want to just complain because it's fun to complain about things, and sometimes it is, like, I will admit that, then have that be your angle. But if you actually want to understand things, just like poke around some of these publicly accessible reports. Like last night, with the help of ChatGPT to save some time, I was looking up things like Hasbro revenues and Disney revenues. This is stuff in their annual reports, so it's not any inside information from me. This is all public information. But if you say, oh, Hasbro is a $4 billion company, right? Why can't I get this tier for my Haslab? Those things are very far apart, right? You look at a $4 billion company for Hasbro, break it down, $2.5 billion from consumer products, which would include toys and board games. Okay. You got $1.5 billion from Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming. So that's all of Magic the Gathering. That's all of Dungeons and Dragons. This is 24 full year revenue, by the way. And then you've got a smaller entertainment arm of Hasbro from what I imagine is Peppa Pig and those types of things that, you know, they would do TV shows and movies, but less movies these days, right? So you think of, okay, consumer products for Hasbro is only $2.5 billion, and that's every single thing they make. Okay. That's huge businesses like board games, Nerf, Play-Doh. These are ubiquitous things for kids, right? And then you drill down to action brands, and then you drill down to Marvel Legends, which Marvel is one of the bigger brands, you know, in the portfolio. But like, it's such a small piece, right? And so when you say Hasbro is such a big company, why can't they do this for Marvel? It's because, well, they're looking over the entire company when they make decisions. And so why do we get X amount of tooling per year? Why are we told Marvel business portfolio, this is your profitability target for the year? It's because it's under the umbrella of the entire company. If certain things in the company are doing better or worse, they have to do a balancing act, right? And so you look at, if you're paying attention, Wizards of the Coast is doing really well the past couple of years, right? Because Magic the Gathering is very big. Dungeons and Dragons has been relevant in pop culture and continues to grow, whereas certain things in the consumer product segments, like the toys and games, that struggled. That's, you just look at the data, right? It's either down slightly or flat. Like we kind of had a couple years of growth coming out of COVID, but just the industry is not there. So like all of those things drill down to why is there only one Build-A-Figure a year? It's because of all of those things. And it's not like an executive at Hasbro is going to look at one particular line within the boys action business and be like, oh, we're just going to throw them a bone and lower their profitability targets, which would effectively give you a greater ex-factory cost to work with. Oh, just because that's the right thing to do. Or Marvel Legends has been around 20 years. There's a lot of passionate fans out there. It's like, as much as that would be awesome, it's like, no, you are a cog in the machine. And I forget what the question is. I've kind of hijacked it with that little lesson, but like, if you just think about it with those kinds of glasses on, I think you might understand why the obvious thing from the fan perspective isn't done, right? There's a lot of obvious things that we would love as fans to have, but the realities make that not so.
Yeah. At the same time, it's okay for fans to voice their opinions, and
they should definitely do it. Tell us what you want, right? And then if we get that groundswell of like, fans want the Build-A-Figures, like we got to find a way to do a Build-A-Figure, then maybe the teams could come back and do that. Now, it likely wouldn't be. I think this is just conjecture, right? Because I don't know what they have planned in the future, and we've looked at this in the past, but it's like, could we do Build-A-Figure for X, Y, and Z? It's like, yes, but not at $25. So this was back when $25 was the standard rate for all Legends figures. It's like, and we looked at it. We would talk to sales and say, hey, what if we did this cool Build-A-Figure that had unique tooling? It wasn't just like a controller, like Thanos, like, update, whatever. Could we charge $30 for it? How would retail feel about that? Then the sales teams need to go out to retail and say, hey, what would the forecast be at 30? And even though I believe McFarlane priced their Build-A-Figures at a higher rate than their base.
Yeah, they went crazy.
So they were ginormous, but still, like, we're using those as examples, but then you get the feedback. Yeah, sales is, because of retailer feedback, sales isn't really going to go for that. And then this is what your new forecast would be at $30. And it's like, we put that into the spreadsheets, and it's like, ooh, that's not going to do it. So we've looked at that, but like, probably wouldn't be at $25. But again, to say if the Build-A-Figure, like what is the insight behind fans wanting to Build-A-Figure? Do they want larger characters? Cool. We'll do deluxe figures. Marvel does more deluxe figures than any other brand really at 30, 40, 50 Haslabs, made to orders, whatever, what have you. But if the insight is, I just want to get something for free because the conceit was I get a free figure with this, then that's kind of not really in the cards, right? Like it was a free figure in terms of you purchased 6 figures and got to build the 7th one. But in terms of when we cost it out, it is not a free figure. It is part of the cost.
Of course.
And those pieces can get expensive.
Yeah. So the Build-A-Figure thing, just from my experience, it seems like most fans are split on it. I think the people that buy more Marvel Legends want the Build-A-Figure, and those that buy less, they pick and choose. They don't, because they just want to be able to buy it separately, which they're all kind of getting redone now anyway. Like, we're getting Build-A-Figures re-released just as deluxe figures a lot. So for me, that's kind of hard to say, like, which way would be better. For me, I buy a lot. I would like Build-A-Figures. But now you said there's only one Build-A-Figure this year. Is that true? There's only one? There's only one Build-A-Figure wave this year?
I don't remember what year we're in. There may be more, like, maybe I'm thinking of last year. And when I say last year, what do I mean? 24? What was 24? Yeah.
I think last year was 3. I can't remember anymore.
So there's a smaller number. I'm not going to say it's only one.
It's way smaller because
has there been one? Was Zabu this year? I'm forgetting.
Zabu was last year, but pre-COVID, I want to say there was like 10 to 12 a year. There was a lot. There was a lot of Build-A-Figures, and it was
close to it.
Yeah,
I don't know that we ever got over. I don't know that we got over 10. Maybe I'd have to go back and I would have.
Maybe
my memory is 8. Fading. But yeah, but in that time, again, that was when we had a lot of movie waves, a lot of mixed waves. That was before retro card things even got off the ground. Like, I think the retro card idea from a collector standpoint has probably been both a good thing and a bad thing, right? Like it's brought a lot of nostalgia from the Spider-Man, the X-Men cards, but like if that is a proven success formula, then as a company, why would you invest more in a Build-A-Figure if the sales data shows you sell as much of a Spider-Man retro carded wave as a Build-A-Figure wave? Like, why would you do that, right? From a business perspective. And certain retro waves do perform really well, whether it's Spider-Man or like that No Way Home, kind of like modern retro carded wave. But like, yeah, it wasn't for us. I say us meaning the dev team not wanting to do it. It's just that the hands are tied a lot of times with what we can afford, and that's just the honest truth. And like, you go back to 2017, 2018, when there was maybe close to 10 Build-A-Figure waves a year. We weren't doing $60 Hulk Busters. We weren't doing $80 Giant or Dragon Mans. We weren't doing stuff like that. Like the 80th program had a lot of those big items that are even too big to be Build-A-Figures. Like those wouldn't have even existed because those price points, people weren't comfortable really with those price points. But as the business grew, we're seeing that it can handle that, and that fans will go for those kinds of things that are all new and bigger and deluxes.
You mentioned that your hands would be tied in certain cases, and I know, Bobby, you've talked about it before. You want to relate the story of the Yondu?
Well, I mean,
I love this story. Every time he tells it, I just light up.
Yeah. So there's a few things I want to touch on. There's actually three things. Yes, the Yondu is one of them, and then two other things. But yeah, the Yondu was incredibly frustrating, an incredibly frustrating scenario because, it's like what Ryan was saying. It's like, look, it's not us that are, sometimes our hands are tied. That was a specific situation where, you guys know, Deadpool Dollar, as Ryan said, he and I just did not see eye to eye on things. And this was a particular item where when we were in these gate reviews, where we go over the costs at each step of the way, the item got down to the final stage. It was all set. It had been approved the whole way through. It was on cost. Like, we got to hit certain VM numbers, and it was hitting those numbers. And he just wanted to squeeze that sponge. And there was no reason to cut the accessories out of that item because we were on cost. And I remember that was a situation where, Ryan's hands were tied. And I remember I sat there and I was like, well, I think I'm going to have to be the one to say something here. And it was like, I was just like, why would you cut this? We're on cost. This is part of the character. Like it makes the item good. And no one went to bat. And I remember that being an incredibly frustrating day. And I know in the grand scheme of things, it's 1 2-pack in the 4-inch line that wasn't really selling incredibly well. But it was just one of those things where if we have standards, if we have numbers that we're supposed to hit, and we're hitting those numbers, don't squeeze anymore. We are hitting the number. And that was a situation where, like, I think that was one of my kind of my breaking points where I was just like, you know what, this is, I'm never going to see it their way because I was always a fight for the product kind of person. Granted, yes, you have to make money as a company. And if the item was over cost, sure. I have cost reduced hundreds of items during my time. I cost reduce, every now and then, I can usually, do an item and know my cost, but also it's like, I don't have VMs that I have to get approved. So if my VM's a little lower on one item or higher on the other, it doesn't matter. I just still do the item. But, then it's like, yeah, you had to stick to the numbers. And if we were over, I get it. And we weren't. We were on goal. And this person made the choice to ruin an item. And I know some people are going to be like, how does that little effect ruin an item? Well, it ruined the item because now you have a 2-pack where Star-Lord came with some blasters and Yondu was just Yondu with a hole in his sheath and nothing else with him. And it's like that, like yeah, that to me as a product designer, that arrow made the item, but then removing it broke the item. And that bothered me a lot. That definitely bothered me a lot.
Can I just add on to this? Because I knew this was going to come up, that story.
Yeah.
So like, it got me thinking of the psychology just of how decisions are made. And when you're in these gate review meetings, right, you've got the core dev team, which we just talked about who those people are. And then they each have their bosses, right? And then in the old days when Bobby was there was kind of like one VP, whatever, that kind of like made the final call on everything, right? And so you get into these gate review meetings and there's dozens of items going through and everything is over cost. Most things are over cost. Most things are late. There's like a lot of things, right? Things are not viewed in a vacuum by themselves. And I forget whether this item actually was on cost itself or if it was, I think it was part of an assortment. So maybe there were other items in the assortment that were over, but this particular 2-pack was okay. But like, we can't, it's hard for us to be in those meetings and be like, can you please just approve that? It's a little over, but just approve this one. Okay, next item. All right, this one's a little over too, but can you just approve it? Okay, third item. All right, this one's way over, but like, it's a really cool item, right? Like psychologically, the bosses need to feel like they're doing something, right? And so their number one thing they ask is, can we cut costs out of anything? And you have to just kind of like, for their psychological well-being, they kind of need to feel like, well, at least I cut something, right? And unfortunately, sometimes in the case of this item, yes, Yondu's power is not represented. So I wouldn't say it ruins the item, but it almost ruins the item. It makes the item way worse than it could have been, I think. So like, but for whatever reason, at that day, whoever was making the call, they wanted blood from something, and so they had to get it from somewhere. And so who knows that if we kept his arrow effect in for this one, then maybe something in 6-inch Legends, like maybe they would have wanted something for an item either before or after that, like in the agenda. And it's stupid to sounds like kind of dumb, but just like how people are, like no one's just going to sit back and be like, yeah, cool. Like I'm a VP and I get these emails constantly from finance on how my portfolio's VMs are way over target and what am me and my team going to do to get the costs back down. Like I get that constant chirping from my boss. Like, so when it comes to these gate reviews and I'm the final approver, if I look at something, sometimes I just have to ask, can this be cut out? And then, yeah, to Bobby's point, if no one on design or marketing feels comfortable or has the power to kind of die on that hill, then it's not going to happen. There have been times where someone does want to make a big deal out of something and will honestly say like, look, without this feature or accessory or whatever it is, then this isn't an item. And you have to have the support and you have to have the fortitude to kind of like, yeah, die on that hill in those instances. But like this 2-pack was not one of those. So was the item at the end of the day worse than it should have been? Yes. But it's just kind of one of those things that it's not just Marvel Legends. It's like every toy brand, every toy company, that's how these things work.
Is that what happened with the starting lineup Gambit 2-pack?
That one, I want to say the original concept was to do not the basketball one, the kitchen set, like the crop top one.
Yeah.
Which I think might have allowed us to use a different body. I'm not sure. But no, I don't know. I was surprised that tooling was still available because we all know starting lineup came and went, but it happens to still be available. And I guess someone thought it made sense. And so that's what happened. Was it the ideal? No, because those starting lineup figures were meant to have the jersey over them, right? At all times. Like no one's taken Giannis and taking his jersey off just for fun. So I don't think it was the best, but it was the way to get the item. And I will say that Rogue, this is me putting the shilling hat back on, but like that's a really cool Rogue face sculpt. I think it's
it's so Rogue. Good, and I really want it. It's hard to pull the trigger on a 2-pack just for one head sculpt, so I got to play the long game and hopefully not miss out.
We were also I was in favor of trying to find a way to throw a white tuxedo Gambit in some format instead, like because we did a bunch of X-Men 97 like follow-up to they became the 2-packs that are up for pre-order from Storm and Wolverine and Jean and Cyclops and Gambit and Rogue. Like we're trying to capitalize on X-Men 97 coming off of the Sentinel, that 97 Sentinel that is going to ship later this year. And so there were some other items unlocked for this year, meaning 25. And
that Sentinel, by the way, was just pushed back to December.
Yeah, it's
at least according to Paul's. Yeah,
it's a mess, as you guys know from shipping and things. I think I'm pretty sure that they're trying desperately to keep it within the calendar year because that's important for just the bookkeeping. Like when things shift from one year to the other year, that causes a lot of problems just internally. So let's knock on wood that December is the last date, because I mean I've got 5 coming still too, and I look forward to them.
You got 5 too, huh?
Yeah,
I got 5. It's crazy. I got 5 of the Haslabs too, which is it's nuts. I'm looking at them. Okay, let's go back to the chat. Robin with the member chat, 24 months. Thank you, Ace. He says, what did the team or Ryan think of the Ramen Racer? Or was it, as I thought, simply a non-issue to them since the Ramen Racer came after the EOV failed?
I don't recall the exact timeline of it. I will say overall, a big lesson that I took away from the Engine of Vengeance campaign not funding is that it's hard when an item looks basically like a real world item that anyone can make, right? Ramen Racer ended up coming out with their version of a Charger, a black Charger like car. I'm not a car guy, right? But like a black Charger like item. And yeah, we just got to stick within the IP, right? That's why I think some of the Star Wars items and the G.I. Joe, although G.I. Joe is that blend of like military, but like, how can you make it very IP like, right? Maybe in hindsight, maybe if we had just done a fire car only, and for some reason, if that unlocked better costing for us and lower price and lower units to fund, like maybe that would have been better. Like, did we overthink ourselves and think having a car that could be in 2 modes is really cool? It's like, yes, but then you're opening yourself up to those comparisons to those people who could just come up with a normal looking car with no IP, right? Anyways, what did we think of the Ramen Racer? I don't know. Hopefully it was successful for you, Ace. It wasn't as successful for us. But for all those folks who jumped on right away and they're pulling out Bratz car, I don't know if this was you guys, the Bratz car comparisons.
No, hold on. Let me clarify before you continue. I have to clarify. It was during the Engine of Vengeance campaign where the Bratz car thing came up, and I'm like, I have some of those. And I showed it, and we did a show about 112 vehicles that existed. I don't think I ever compared and said, well, this is $50 and the EOV is $3. I don't think I did that. Maybe I did. But obviously, there's going to be a lot of difference in cost between making a Bratz car, which that mold, they've been making that car for over 20 years, right? And there's no licensing associated with it. And the EOV, which was, well, it was supposed to come with 5 figures, but those never unlocked. So $350 is a big ask for a car with 1 figure. See what I'm saying?
It was.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, there were other, I'm trying to like remember what everything that was included in the ELV, but yeah, like I would like a final count though, for anyone out there who was able to order the Ramen Racer and get it delivered. I would love to know what the final cost for the car and the flame pieces and all the things, plus shipping and what kind of shipping, and then compare that to what it would have been through the Pulse, because I think the initial inclination was it's going to be such a chasm of the 350 from Hasbro and then dirt cheap for the Ramen Racer. I want to say they kind of crept more closely to each other, but no one wants to go back and dissect this again, right?
Well, I could tell you exactly what I paid for 2 Ramen Racers, because I got the black one and the orange one.
Well, what, including shipping? Yeah, what was it?
For 2, including shipping, was $417.
2 separate cars, or
2 separate cars
for 1 car?
I got the orange one and the black one with everything. That was the early bird prices plus shipping. $417. Because early bird prices in Ace, if you're here, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the early bird price on that $150 or was it $175? I forget. But yeah, it came to $417 or $417 or $427.
Yeah, I don't remember if I think that's taking advantage of the early bird pricing. So that was great. And again, it also depends on what kind of shipping rate you charge. You get a little bit of I think
the shipping I think was $90 for both. You got a discount if you shipped them both.
Yeah. So and then again, zero figures with the Ramen Racer, right?
0.
And we're not carrying a license too. So yeah, I mean, like it's not. Yeah, maybe the Bratz cars just kind of tilted me too much, that comparison. But like,
yeah, I mean, it's fair to talk about that. I mean, that's fine.
The more relevant example, I think, would have been that McFarlane Batmobile that was very much a kid focused one, like not part of their, I believe, right? Like that he put out and I never got one. I tried to get one, but then it was sold out on Amazon when I tried to pre-order it back then. But I think that was kind of cool. Like, and that's a certain angle to take. And I think most people would look at that Batmobile that came out and think, wow, I don't think he's crushing it on the VM on this one. I think it's just to kind of like get that Batmobile out there and try to, I don't know, use it to get people to buy more figures. But like, that would have been a more apt comparison in my mind.
Yeah, I got one of his Batmobiles. I got the 89. And I want to say, what did he charge for that thing, Bobby? It was like 75 with the Batman figure.
It was low,
but it was also like a shell.
There's nothing to it.
There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, it looks fine on the shelf, but it didn't have the electronics. It didn't have the swappable wheels, flames in a.
He didn't even do like the front lights weren't like separate, like ABS translucent pieces. It was just a tampo hit. Yeah. It was he basically did the Batmobile very much like how Kenner did it in the 90s.
Yeah. And he also put it at retail, so you probably much higher numbers there selling it to Target and Walmart's, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. We got Zakanan's here. He says #Sentinel Gang. Thank you, Zakanan, for the super chat. Bobby, your employee's here. Jordan says he says, I'm actually live. Can't wait for New Jersey Toy Con. When is that?
2 weeks.
Awesome.
Not next weekend, the weekend after.
Okay. With the new exclusive, the official release.
The official release.
Of the Infantry Commando 2.0.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you, Jordan. Cobra Saboteur watching live tonight. Thanks, man. He says, evening, gentlemen. I'll unfortunately have to catch. Oh, you're not watching live. Okay. I'll have to catch the replay and sending all of you and your families well wishes. Mr. Ting, thank you for the Toy Biz carded line and your passion. It always showed through.
Yeah, appreciate that. I did. I enjoyed my time there, and I was sad to see it end, but at the same point too, I think very, very grateful for the opportunity to work on something that I love, that I collected before working for Hasbro, and that I'll continue to collect after working for Hasbro. And that's something that I always tried to do, is especially in the post-con era of things, right, where we're doing fan streams and you guys can see a little bit more of us, not just when you're coming to see us at San Diego or New York Toy Fair in person, but the job description changed kind of on the fly. I think that's what some people don't realize. Like, marketers who were on these brands were all of a sudden foisted out in front of the camera and told to just go talk about your stuff. And some people didn't like doing that, honestly, and some people were not comfortable with it, but others, Dan and I, like, we love doing that stuff, and that's why we always stood by our work and tried to make collecting fun and exciting for you guys.
The ones that don't want to do it, it's pretty obvious. You can tell. Some of the Star Wars guys, I'm like, oh, that poor guy, he does not want to do this.
One of the other things that I wanted to touch on before was when you brought up the retro card stuff. Do you remember you and I started that? Not with 6-inch though.
Yes, I do. We started that on a. Do you want to tell them the item then?
It was the Amazon exclusive 4-inch Spider-Man Sinister 6 set.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, Amazon was looking for something. Amazon was notorious for wanting an item. We would do an item, put a bunch of work into it, and last minute Amazon would cancel the item. So this was like one of those ones where we were just like waiting for that to happen. But it was such a cool item, and we did it, and it was was 7 figures because it was Spider-Man and the Sinister Six, and it was basically a box, and they were all nested, but they were attached. The cards were attached, so you folded it out, and it was 7 carded figures all connected. But we were thinking of how can we do it to make it like cool? Like what could you do to make it special? And we kind of, I don't know whose idea it was, but the idea got thrown around about the retro card, and it was the first time that was ever done. And I remember when people saw it, because it was like a throwaway item. It was like, 4-inch was the redheaded stepchild. So when people saw it in a gate review, they were like, whoa, that's cool. And I remember saying in one of those meetings, and this is weird for me to pitch it because I was a 4-inch guy, not a 6-inch guy. But I said that the retro card should be done on 6-inch. It shouldn't be done on this 4-inch item. And I was trying to push for 6-inch. And then, now it's like everyone saw that item and it was awesome. And then they started doing it on 6-inch. It was like, yeah, you should have done it on 6-inch from the start. But it was like, look what it kind of turned into.
Yeah, I think the first retro line was it had Wolverine, Captain America, the Pizza Spidey re-release. That was 2017?
The first wave of 6-inch started as a gap fill item. We needed some extra items and we had no time. Time at that point was the more limiting factor. We also had no tooling, but like you could have tooling but still not have time, and then all the tooling in the world isn't going to save you. We needed to get something out quickly, and so that's where that first 6-inch with Black Widow, Punisher, Wolverine, like those guys that you just mentioned with Pizza Spidey came. And yeah, I don't think we realized how powerful that would be. And again, that was on the line look that Bobby did in his set right there, the Marvel superheroes with the blue topper and the yellow stars.
Oh, there it is.
But like, I think that one was the first, technically, right? The first 5-inch line that Toy Biz did for Marvel. But I think the more notable ones were the ones that came after it, from the X-Men and the Spider-Man animated series, and it got kind of funky after that. We had some crazy ones like the Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider and stuff like that. But yeah, that was how that first 6-inch wave came to be. It was we needed something quick that we could turn around and not have to tool. But this item was fun because our structure engineer had to come up with, how are the cards all connected, and like how do you put them in a box set and still have the Spider-Man and the blister peeking through, which was kind of an interesting solve. And yeah, unfortunately, I think the momentum, Bobby, was against 3 3/4 at this point, because these carded figures look awesome when you've got like the little accessories in the bubble too, right? And where we were at a point in 3 3/4 where there's not a lot of accessories to include with anyone, so they look a little minimalist in that way. But yeah, that was, for Marvel Legends, the first direct Toy Biz inspired kind of homage.
That was a great item.
Marvel Legends, they got to be 6-inch. I mean, the 3 3/4 line was cool, until Bobby started working on it and they nerfed the budget and took away all the articulation. But Marvel Legends got to be 6-inch.
Well, it made like, I know everyone like lost their shit over calling all of Collector Legends, but it made sense. It absolutely made sense. But the purists were just like, Legends is 6-inch. No, it doesn't have to be.
I just said it did. I just said that.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Legends was the collector offering. Like, it was the 12-inch. It was because at the time we had really blown out collector. Like, it was 3 3/4 was Infinite. Then they made it Legends, but at the same time we rolled out 12-inch, and then the prop replicas, and you had 6-inch, and it was like, no, man, this is like, it's all under one umbrella. I was like one of the rare people that was okay with it. But I remember like people like lost their shit over it. And I was like, guys, who cares? Like, and people were like, well, I don't know if that's 6-inch or 4-inch. And it's like, is this your first time buying toys? Like, you can't tell by a picture if that's 4-inch or 6-inch. Really? Like, you shouldn't be collecting.
The biggest miss with changing scales was when you switched to the 12-inch scale and didn't do an Ant-Man or a Giant Man. Because that works at every scale.
Well, Ryan, the Comic-Con set that I did,
that kind of sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. I was pushed into that. But listen, we do. It was the first item that had every scale in it.
Yeah.
But you got Giant Man in there. Not the Giant Man everyone wanted, but
no.
Giant
Man. When we're launching a brand new 12-inch premium line, we're like Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and then Ant-Man. No, Ant-Man would not have been anywhere close. Would not have been anywhere close. We actually worked on a Thanos and Black Widow in the 12-inch line.
Oh,
never
wow.
got off the ground because forecasts were not
were
not enough to warrant the tooling. But Bobby would have.
Man, that Thanos was awesome. Too. I remember. I designed the Thanos up. I was trying to push Captain Marvel over Black Widow, but I remember Thanos was like, I was like, let's go, baby. Because I remembered what we were able to do with Hulk. I was like, man, Thanos. Oh,
do you still have the artwork from that you worked on?
I don't. You're not supposed to have it. I don't know if I have it. Maybe
tell me after the show.
Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
Okay. Let's go back to the chat. We got Impossible Pie here. Member for 25 months. Thank you. Welcome, Ryan, to the show. Could you let us know why Build-A-Figures are going the way of the dinosaur? We kind of answered that, right? Is there anything else you wanted to add? You kind of answered it.
No, I mean, if we could, we would, but it just times have changed. But I do want to give the teams credit to keeping it alive. It's less, but it's not gone away. So it'll still come out, I think.
All right. Kevzilla, thanks for the super chat. He says, hashtag simple Sentinel Squad, we wool. There's an inside joke about Sentinels going on that I missed out on, but thank you for the super chat, Kevzilla. 206 Toys, Brandon, what's up? He says, let's go. Thank you for the super chat, Brandon. Earl Potts is here. Thank you. We need Ryan at Legions Con. Would you ever consider going to Legions Con, Ryan?
Maybe. That's in November. I don't know. We'll see. I actually did go that one time just randomly, but couldn't stay for very long. And it was a cool environment. Definitely different than San Diego, right? Much more about Four Horsemen and kind of custom stuff. So we'll see. We'll see if I can make it this year.
Well, allow me to entice you to go this year, okay? Because I will be there.
Well,
you can meet me.
There's always Toy Tuber Expo next year.
True. Toy Tuber. Toy Tuber was the most fun I've ever had at a con.
It was a great show.
It's a great show.
Great show. Shit area. Great show.
New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, it's not New Jersey. Whoa. Hold on. I'm not saying all New Jersey. I'm saying that part of New Jersey.
Okay. By the kind of by the airport.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Okay. Impossible Pie, thanks for the super chat. Ryan, is going Bobby's route a possibility for you? So I think he means starting your own toy company, creating your own toy line and company. I should just read these. Good luck in your future career, whatever you choose. That's actually a good question. Will you even, I mean, you're a marketer. Are you planning on staying in toys, or are you just still weighing your options?
I think I'm still weighing the options in terms of starting my own company for toys. I think that's harder to do when you're not a designer, I want to say, but maybe at some point, maybe it's partnering up with some folks, but that's all very hypothetical and probably further down the line. I just have to figure out, maybe I finally have to grow up after all these years in the toy industry and do something else. But the cool thing is I'll still collect toys. I can still hop on streams and talk about toys. I feel like my experience is going to stay fresh for a little while here, having been in it up until very recently for so long. I think you've got some other voices out there who maybe used to be in the toy industry, but it's been many, many years since they were in the thick of things. And so I think you have to take some of those insights with a grain of salt, but we'll see what the future has.
It seems like they laid you off at the right time, right at the beginning of summer. You got to enjoy your summer, and you're just kind of great summer, spending time with the family. Aside from every 3 days having a mental breakdown, it's cool, more time. But no, I'm feeling better about it, and I think this was on Bobby's list, but Hasbro was in the news this week with some major announcements that I think are causing some anxiety for basically everyone there. And so
I kind of view it that I got out ahead of that, right? Because I kind of had to go through my anxieties and coming to terms with things. And now, unfortunately, a lot of friends are having to go through that as well. And with the move to Boston is what I'm referring to. So yeah, maybe I'm ahead of the game.
Can we talk about the move to Boston? Like, first of all, why? Second of all, would you have gone?
So this is just publicly information. Like you can read what Chris Cox had to say about why they were going in terms of
I don't read.
state of the art facilities, or access to young talented
Girls?
folks from the northeastern. I don't know. I think and Bobby knows this too, but that Pawtucket office, like, very old. Like, I think if you guys came to look at it, like, there would literally, when there's a big rainstorm, there's rain falling on our desks in the area where our desks were. And the solve is you move your stuff off the desk and you put out one of those blue recycling trash cans, and it catches the rain, and you hope that it stops. Like, that was
seriously
the level of, and it was worse in certain parts, but the one area where Bobby will remember that I sat for all those years with a lot of the marketers, all the action marketers, Star Wars, Marvel, Transformers, like multiple spots, rain coming down. So yes, it was time to go to a new building, for the love of God. But like, unfortunately, they chose to take it out of Rhode Island. And so basically, like, I don't know this for sure, but right, basically everyone lives in Rhode Island. Like, there's a few people who live in Southern Mass, and then a very small number of people who live more in Boston and have a longer commute. But like, and you can pull up the map, but like, Pawtucket is at the northern part of Rhode Island. Almost everyone lives south of that. So to go to Boston, you have to go up through, but so it's an even longer commute for everyone. And it's kind of scary times. I don't know if people are going to want to uproot their whole lives to add an hour plus drive each way onto that. And would I have stayed? Probably not. Like, I don't think my family would have wanted to just move a little bit closer. Like, I don't know. And then otherwise, then do I want to have a soul draining commute, hour and 45 minutes every way? The new area, I don't believe, the new location, which they've announced the address, I don't believe it is very publicly accessible. Like, the current office in Pawtucket there is a commuter rail line like a mile from the office, and Hasbro would have a shuttle that would pick people up in the morning and drop people off to that big commuter rail. So you could actually come down from Boston and catch the commuter rail, or come up from Southern Rhode Island. Like, there's no equivalent of that in the new place. You have to either get to a main subway stop on the red line, and then you have to literally walk a half a mile, is what Google was recommending, which isn't far, but in the wintertime in New England and blizzards, you're not want to walk. Or you can deal with like the Silver Line, which is a bus and not even a subway. So it's kind of like, you got to like drive yourself there. It was what my read on that was. So yeah, thankfully, don't have to cross that bridge and make that decision for myself.
Listen,
go ahead.
the Pawtucket building is amazing. People always hate it, but I love that building. I love it because it had character. That building's like 200 years old. It's an old mill building. It's all brick and steel girders inside. I loved every bit of it. I remember when they first got the Providence office, and I had to go over there for a meeting or some IT training or some shit like that. And I remember, like, I went inside. It was really like cold and sterile, and everyone like raved, like, "Oh, it's modern and this is great. Hopefully we're all gonna move over here one day." And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to go to this building. One, I hate Providence, and two, it's like, this building is not like, you walk in, I feel like it drained the life out of me. The Pawtucket building, I felt like the character of the building like gave me the motivation to like want to create stuff. But I know like a lot of people didn't like that building. I thought it was great. I always thought about the history of it. Like, my office that I was in is the same office that Dave Kunitz, who created a lot of G.I. Joe things, it was his office. But it was like, I think about all the stuff that was done like in that office and created in that office.
It was like that show Mad Men.
Yeah. It's like, that's what I loved about that Pawtucket office. But hey, some people want cold and sterile, I guess.
Definitely a lot of history there. And it was cool where it was like, yeah, it was very nondescript. And it was like this huge parking lot, like the Providence. Anytime you went to the Providence office, you'd have to park on the street with a meter, or you'd have to park at the parking garage for that little arena where like the Providence college basketball and hockey teams play. Like that was a nightmare. It was nice to just have an office that was like, you could just go to it anytime. Like I would, on the weekends, if I had a convention I was prepping for, or I wanted to stay late on a Friday, like just go from my house, 15 minutes, drive to the office. There's like one security guard there. You just kind of wave to them. You walk in, you guys just do whatever you want, right? Like now with this new modern office, like you're not going to want to just go there anytime you don't have to. But like for me, I could do that. You could stay late, you could go early, you could go on weekends, like whatever you wanted. Now that's all cut out.
All right. 49er Brian, thanks for the member chat. He says, it's true, Ryan's and Brian's rule. No, only Ryan's. Brian's are bad. We don't like them. Jersey Maniac says, hi, Mr. Ting. Sorry I gave you so much shit online over the years. Marvel Legends is often very frustrating for passionate collectors like me, which can lead to misplaced blame. I hate that Hasbro effed you over.
Yeah, Jersey. I feel like I know you, but I've never met you. I've watched these long smoke-filled rants about things. And I know it all comes from a place of passion and collecting the line for many years. I kind of appreciated that he did a little post after I kind of did my announcement. If you were, I'm not one of those like big like LinkedIn guys where I'm like, I'm thrilled about everything that my work just did, or I want to let everyone know that I'm no longer with Hasbro. So I wanted to do it on Instagram, so that's where I did it. And I appreciate him giving me a little bit of props for the years put in on the line.
Listen, Jersey Maniac, he's a big softie. If you ever meet him in person, he's soft-spoken, incredibly polite. He's really nice guy. He's not as aggressive and angry as he is on the internet. Let's see here. We got Robert's Infinite Realms. Thanks for being a member for 22 months. Ryan, no shade. What do marketers do at Hasbro? Because all I see is lives and tweets. What don't we see? Genuine curiosity. We kind of covered that a little bit, but there's anything else?
So try to be quick. So the global marketing team, like what Dan and I and most of the people you see on the fan streams do, that's a part of it. But the bigger part is the business side of it, where we actually do have a global P&L of like revenue targets and profitability targets. And so you're managing the business side of things, but more so the global marketing team is trying to work across all the job functions to kind of make sure, everyone is doing a great job at their function, but it's just kind of taking that one holistic view over everything, because it does tie back to how we're selling in the product, right? At the end of the day, it's the consumers who take it to unbox the figures at home and play with them, but also before that, it's the retailers, right? And so a big piece of the toy industry is how do you sell into the retailers and make sure they're buying from Hasbro before it can even get to the end consumers. And so you want to make sure your packaging, your product offerings, the way it's presented both to sales and the consumer, like everything is cohesive together. And that speaks to those meetings that we were talking about earlier of what our day-to-day is like, and just kind of not being solely responsible for everything, but kind of making sure everything makes sense together, I would say. Yeah. Cool. And prepping for the fan stream. So you would take the most pleasure in that, and less so all the spreadsheets and the emails and the internal check-in meetings and the licensor, whatever check-ins. Yeah.
Okay. The fan streams, they're not live, are they? They're pre-recorded.
They are pre-recorded now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to be live. I want to say the first 2 PulseCons were true live.
Until the Star Wars guy blew the Rancor Haslab reveal.
I don't remember how that happened. But no, the reasons why we moved away from true live was partially, I want to say, some people didn't feel comfortable with being true live, which is they're entitled to their opinions. And technically, when they took on that job, their live streams didn't exist, so they were kind of thrust into it. And second, too much can go wrong, honestly. Like, we had that one year, which I think it was the year that we were talking about the Engine of Vengeance, but like, so we record, so it's live to tape, right? Which means they don't make edits to it. So if you drop something, if you misspeak, if you have to correct yourself, that's the only way they would make an edit is if something horrendous happened or the licensor kind of caught wind of something that shouldn't have been. But it was live to tape, and there was that one year there was a power outage somewhere on the West Coast where they had a studio, and like they were running our Marvel segment, right? It freezes. It might have even been on my face at the time. Like, I forget, right?
Yeah.
The PulseCon feed freezes. I'm texting everyone. I'm IMing people. What's going on? Oh, there was actually a power outage in the studio, so we lost the feed. And it was like, okay, cool. You can just go back to where we were, right? Or just start the segment over. It's like, oh no, like we can't. Why? Oh, because then people are going to know it's not live. It's like, guys, everyone knows it's not live. Who cares? So instead, a big portion of our stream that we recorded, it just never saw air because they were so afraid at that time to actually finally, reveal that it wasn't true live. But like, who cares? Like, seriously.
Well, I'll tell you what is live, Ryan. This show right now, and it's a live show with 732 people watching between YouTube and Twitter. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. And if you're on a device, scroll down and click the hype button. That's like nitrous for YouTube engagement. It's a new thing YouTube's doing. It's called the hype button. I don't know. I just work here. Okay, Bobby, you got something you want to say? Because you got this look on your face, like.
No. No, I'm good.
All right. People want me to bring Talker Art in. I'm not gonna.
No. No.
I'm not bringing you in, Talker Art.
I won't let you.
Okay. John Garrett, thanks for the super. He says, Mr. Ting, thank you for agreeing to come on the 3POA and giving us some insight into your work at Hasbro. Having said that, can you give us any insight into the EOV Haslab, such as how it was chosen? That's a good question. How was it chosen? Why the Engine of Vengeance? Because, listen, as a Marvel fan, Robbie Reyes is relatively new and not that popular. I mean, I know, well, he was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, so I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so flashback. So I think a big reason was we wanted to try something new, right? We had just done these two humongous characters, probably the two most obvious ones to do in the Sentinel and Galactus. So number one was, can we do a vehicle, right? And so there are various vehicles. Like, I probably at the time pitched the Fantastic Car. This would have been before the Fantastic Four movie was even announced, right? Because that to me was something I would want. But you just workshop ideas around, and I think we got we got overexcited about the fact of a cool form factor, right? Where, yes, this modern version of Ghost Rider in Robbie Reyes, which wasn't that old, has this really cool looking car. But as we learned from the campaign, that isn't most people's Ghost Rider, right? Most people's Ghost Rider is Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch, right? Mm-hmm. And in a smaller motorcycle form. So that was the big kind of thing that we didn't go down from the start. And then you want to get into all those other things, from pricing to tiers to the early bird special that didn't work. Like, none of those things helped. But if we could go back to start and say, is this Haslab for Marvel the like quintessential version of this character or this thing? If the answer is no, then I don't think you should do it like that. And so that wasn't the case. And for Giant Man, right, like, I stood by. I really felt that this was needed to complete that classic Avengers team. That's the look, right, from all the comics. And so that was the quintessential version of Hank Pym Giant Man. And so that's where we went. And then if and when the teams does a future Haslab, I think they would maximize their chance of success if it was not a sub version of a thing.
When you were considering the Engine of Vengeance, was the Punisher van on the table, or was like Punisher like a no-go for Disney at the time? And has any character ever been a no-go? Like, don't make that character.
Yeah, without getting into it, there are reasons why certain characters are not possible. Some of it has to do with creator rights, right? Some characters, Marvel has to pay the comic creators for use. That's like a contract thing. Sometimes it's just, like things going on. So for a time, Punisher was kind of not on you didn't see a lot of Punishers for a certain amount of time. So I don't think the van would have ever been on the list for that consideration. But also in hindsight too, a black van that's kind of, that has cool stuff in the inside, right? Potentially. But like, again, we're in that black Dodge Charger, don't call it a Dodge Charger, Hell Charger, like vehicle mode where there might not have been the best comparisons, and Ramen would have done an awesome black van the second later.
We know that now, but at the time it was never brought up.
It was brought up internally, but like that's an idea that is obvious too when you think because Marvel doesn't have a lot of iconic vehicles like that are feasible, right? Like not the Blackbird jet or whatever, right? It's like a small Quinjet or various cars and vans, right? So that's it. Spider Buggy was pitched several times. You know, I've certainly pitched Fantastic Car multiple times. What other ones were there? I think that was it. Yeah, vehicles for Marvel are pretty tough.
Even stuff like the Fantastic Car, you know, I mean, that's being made by fans. Toy Blocks makes an awesome Fantastic Car. I think for Marvel, you know, it's still big figures is the way to go for Haslabs. If Marvel ever goes back to it, were they just testing the waters with the made to order, the Dragon Man, the Sentinel? Were Haslabs off the table for some reason, or?
It was a strategy. Like if the team wants to do a Haslab, I don't think they were forbidden from doing it. They just need a compelling case and an item that everyone feels good in. But again, what is the point of doing a crowd fund? From the company's perspective, it's a risk mitigation tool because you don't want to spend $1 million in tooling and then not know how many you're going to sell at the end of the day, right? You want that guarantee. You don't want to call a number and be way over, right? Because then you're left with unsold inventory and it's a nightmare, right? So that's why you say, okay, let's guarantee X amount of units are sold. Everyone feels good about the financials and you go with it. Well, that's basically an open pre-order as long as, you know, the item is not a stinker item, which we felt that Dragon Man and Sentinel and Mephisto are good items. And so we're willing to, and that works until you're wrong about it, right? So I would joke internally like, yeah, this made to order approach is great until the first time it doesn't work, then you'll never be able to do it again. Because in that case, you are committing to the tooling, right? Because otherwise it's going to be 2 years from now, right? If you're not tooled already, but we were confident enough in Dragon Man, and it might have been actually risky to do Dragon Man before Sentinel, right? But I think we wanted to give more distance in time. And I, as kind of the toy historian, if you want to call it that, like there are certain Toy Biz /Legends /not Legends figures that are very rare now and kind of grail like pieces, of which that Toy Biz Fantastic Four classics, right? Dragon Man was one of them. And so it was like, hey, can we bring this into the modern sphere, make it more accessible, like give it some updates where it would fit in better with the modern Legends collection. And fortunately it worked out.
For me, with the Engine of Vengeance, when they revealed, Goblin Queen, but then Mephisto, it was like, I was kind of pissed because I'm like, they're putting that behind a $350 paywall because they know we want it. We've been asking for Mephisto for, at that point, 20 years of Marvel Legends, no Mephisto, I think. So to me, it was like, I was really upset about that. And then Goblin Queen, of course. Because
those were learnings too, right? We said that during the Giant Man campaign, where it's like we are not taking that Wasp figure, that brand new tooled classic Wasp figure, and making it a tier and being like, you guys don't unlock it, too bad, right? And so that was my compromise, was reveal that the figure will be coming out during the campaign, but also say, hey, it's not tied to the campaign. So if you want to feel good about getting this huge Giant Man and having the Wasp to complete the team, awesome. Hey, if you don't want this Giant Man, the Wasp is still coming. Like, you can buy it separately. We're not baking in the cost of a newly tooled Wasp into the so we did take those kinds of learnings. I will say though that the whole Mephisto of it all, like, he's a notable Marvel character. Like, I think there's reasons that we weren't able to just do him in a standard Build-A-Figure wave all those years ago. But clearly it wasn't, that at that time, grouping him into Haslab was the path of least resistance to get him into the market. Now, if you want to say, well, how are you able to do it this way? Well, if you put on the Disney brand assurance hat, which is not Jesse, it's a separate constituency within Marvel, but it's like, it's still, the Mephisto now is still a Pulse exclusive, right? So it's not at retail, and it's this kind of like, we're pre-ordering it. It's probably not going to do the hugest numbers ever, right? So you can kind of like massage a message to anyone who might voice any concern about having Mephisto in a Legends form. But by doing it this way, it's like kind of like a Haslab, but it's still far away from Amazon, Walmart, Target.
I mean, I remember at the time, people were yelling, but you guys, Hasbro Toy Shop. You have Hasbro Toy Shop. You have Hasbro Pulse. Put these characters that Disney doesn't like just as an exclusive on your own website. Throw 14 and up on the box or whatever. And it's happening now, so that's great. But was there a reason why it didn't happen earlier with Mephisto?
Well, Ryan, perfect question, Ryan. Yeah. Ryan LaserPants. Ryan Ting, do you remember when I pitched Mephisto for the 4-inch line? How that went down?
I don't remember.
Again, we were in one of these amazing, great gate reviews where awesome decisions are made. And I had Mephisto in the 4-inch line. And Deadpool Dollar obviously didn't know who he was, because why would he know anything about the Marvel brand? But he was like, who's Mephisto? And Dwight butted in and said, he's basically Marvel's Satan. And right there it died. And he said, we're not doing the devil. We're not. And that, just like that, it died. Like, just like that, I had to find a new figure to put in the wave.
So what Dwight should have said was, Borat? Yeah, in 15 years from now, that'll be him. So we'll just go with that. That would have had a better
Did that
shot.
soften their stance towards Mephisto because he was going to be in the Ironheart show?
Yeah, totally. Like, not that it's a 1-for-1 translation, but like just that character, like I think he says it. He says his name, right? Like there's no
I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Well, so he says his name, and that's too like why the Goblin Queen was able to come back so quickly, because she appeared in X-Men 97. She was like a big part of an episode. So it's like, when plans with Marvel Entertainment changes, that definitely changes the temperature of what we're allowed to do. And which reminds me, a lot of people flack for the Legends Goblin Queen figure. The style art that we had to base the figures on, like at that early stage, had the full high black boots, and then later on she did not have it. But in that case, the team was actually following the art that we received. It was not a less scantily clad version because people had the regular art and were afraid and did it. It's like, no, we were actually matching what we were provided at the time, which infuriated me to no end when I think it was like an artist who worked on the show. I don't know who, but someone I saw on my Twitter feed where it was like, here's some concept, here's sharing some art from the show, and it showed her without the boots, and then people were using that. See, Hasbro messed up, and it was like, no, she was sharing what must have been later concept art. So anyways, that one really pissed me off. But on the topic of just like character selects and what characters are and aren't allowed, and like Bobby knows this all too well too, it is I will call it a collaborative process. And not only do we need to get our internal teams on board with pitching a character, but then you've got, the licensor. And yes, that is Jesse Falcon. And Jesse is awesome. Like, at the end of the day, Jesse, it has a very particular way about him for anyone who knows, but he is hilarious and he's a good person. He just is strong. He has strong opinions too, right? So sometimes he might not like a character for whatever reason. Guess what? It's Jesse's call at the end of the day, right? And Jesse, it's not just his opinions about things. It is also his position in working with the greater Marvel machine. You've got Marvel Studios pushing their movies. You've got Marvel Publishing. You've got Marvel Video Games, right? His job is to keep all of those folks happy and feel like their work is being supported. Because again, what I love to do, go look at the annual reports, right? For Disney, the licensing portion of Disney's revenue is tiny compared to all these other portions, and especially the Marvel, or I should say the Disney Entertainment division, right? So if you've got Kevin Feige's team making billion-dollar movies, you think they're going to care that Hasbro doesn't want to make a newly tooled whatever movie figure? No, they want every movie character they can possibly get in a wave, because they view that as support for this blockbuster film that they're investing all this into. So Jesse is playing a lot of forces and trying to make everyone happy and trying to deal with the Hasbro realities of things in terms of tooling and schedules and all that. And so that's how character selects get made. If we want to loop it back to Mephisto, why didn't Mephisto come out earlier? Yeah, there were maybe certain folks in different parts didn't feel comfortable, but then they were in this made to order form, and it certainly helps that we can say Mephisto is in the MCU officially. So yes, that helps.
You remember when Bobby screwed up the time suits from Endgame? Remember that? That was
yeah, that was awesome.
What a big fail.
It's white, and then it's gray, and then it's white, and then it's
Those suits never existed. That was all CG. So they probably changed it at the last minute or something.
Did you get into that? Bobby? How they were white.
The concept art the first concept art we got, it was white. And I remember there was a running joke in the office about them looking like stormtroopers. And then we never got gray. From what I remember, we didn't get gray concept art. We were just told the suits aren't white anymore. It's the same suit, but now they're gray. And I remember thinking I wonder if they thought they looked like stormtroopers also. But I was like, it's all Disney anyway. So it's and I remember because I had gotten samples. I had samples in my office because I was working on the kid line. And the kid line stuff was done, I think, before the Legend stuff. Or shortly before. So I was getting my samples before Dwight was getting his samples. And I had white suit samples. And then all of a sudden it was a last minute thing hey, got to change in the gray. And I remember I had to have our model shop guy paint one up gray. We had a weekly call with Jesse and I had to send him pictures. Here's what, is this okay? And it was just a model painted up. One of my white samples painted gray. And they had to send it to the studio, and they came back, and they were like, "Yeah, that's good." And then I remember going and or seeing the trailer because I was already gone by that point, and seeing the trailer, and I'm I just laughed. I was like, "You've got to be shitting me!" They really did that. They really did that. Then you see behind the scenes stuff where all those scenes of them in the white suits is them Cap's in his Captain America outfit. And Iron Man's an Iron Man suit, and Hawkeye's in his Hawkeye outfit. And all those costumes, those time suits are all CGI. So, but again, they can make that change fairly quickly. And also it's our reference never matched the final thing. Cause we were getting Andy Park, the great comic book artist. He ended up becoming Marvel's concept artist. He does all their concept art, or at least most of it, because I would see his name on all the concept art we got. So it's we were always getting Andy's art, and it was concept. It was just highly detailed digital concept stuff. We never got suit reference. In the rare occasion that the only time I remember getting suit reference is if we got a second chance at doing a figure, or when Legends did the movie Thanos, and there was details missing out of his costume, and his pants were supposed to be brown and they weren't. So when I did the 2-pack, right? Was it the 2-pack? I did the
2-pack. Yeah,
I did the 2-pack.
There was 2 2-packs.
Yep, I was able to put all those runes
3-pack.
on his armor. I was able to change the color of his pants. Also, the first one that Dwight did, he was purple, like Grimace or Ivan Ooze purple, whereas really he ended up being more pale. So I was cool, I got the second chance to do a more accurate Thanos. But we were always going off very, very early concept art. And a lot of times the concept art we were getting had already changed. And like getting reference was like pulling teeth. Like it was awful. It was like, constantly pushing them for reference, constantly pushing them. And, and then you get something and it's like, okay, well, this is, reference that's 6 months old that I had to push for, and it's not even accurate. So that was the frustrating part, was knowing that you were working on something that wasn't going to look accurate. Now, nothing ever happened as egregious as the time suits. Although no, the Cull Obsidian was bad, because the first Cull Obsidian that came out looked nothing like the Cull Obsidian.
It looked more like the comic book version of Black Dwarf.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but the one that came in the big 5-pack or 4-pack, that one was accurate.
Yeah.
So, you get a second chance at doing that. But yeah, the reference stuff was incredibly frustrating. That's why it's like, part of me liked working on the non-movie stuff, because you had a little bit more freedom. You weren't beholden to the studio stuff.
All right.
And then it's like, when I remember going to, and I've told this story about how I suggested the Red Skull and stuff, and I never believed that I had anything to do with it, but we had another marketer that came on that trip with us that firmly believes that they changed it because of what I suggested, but I don't believe that. But I remember we went to the studio when they were filming. I think it was in between Endgame and Infinity War. I remember Robert Downey Jr.'s stunt double for the scene when he leaves the Sanctum was there in the tracksuit. They were filming some pickup scenes. But like, I got to walk on the Morag set, and I remember like fiddling around inside Rocket's pod when they go to the Star with Thor. But I remember like, then we went into like the studio, the offices, and they had like concept art over all the walls. I remember thinking like, shit, man, can I take pictures here? Because I could use this reference. And like, no pictures, no. I'm like, yes, but I need this reference. This is what I need.
Do you know who I am?
And it was just like, I remember like, well, this is here. It exists. Like, why can't we get it? And then it's like, you come back to the office, you make the request, 2 weeks go by. It's like, hey, can I make that request again? It's like, I've seen the art. I've literally seen the art. So, what are you going to do?
All right. Listen, guys, we have 762 people watching. We have 53 super chats we've got to get through. So can we rapid fire some of these?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
What's the record, by the way?
For viewers on this show?
Yeah.
We topped 1,000 one time.
I remember what it was. Was it when I was dissecting the engine of Vengeance with the Sentinel?
No, but put that on hold, because there's a super chat about that.
Okay.
So,
okay.
It was actually Valifair.
Oh, that's right.
People like Action Force, man. What can I say? And I want Ryan's thoughts on Action Force a little bit later. Okay, but first, real quick, 13 Prince. Hi, Ryan. Do you guys, Dwight and Dan? Now, just so everyone knows, Ryan Ting was laid off. There's questions coming in about, Ryan, when are you making this? When he doesn't work at Hasbro anymore. Okay. Do you guys have any input on what gets released, or does that decision come from way above?
Yes, we drive the input, but things still need to get approved. So we know
that. We got Brief Case here. Thanks for being a member for 6 months. I prefer to know releases ahead of time so I can better plan my budget. The more expensive stuff gets, the less of an impulse buy it is. Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, just to touch on that real quick, because I know Ryan was mentioning how it's frustrating when the stuff gets leaked, but it's like, to me, it's like, just throwing an arbitrary number out there. Say there's 50,000 pieces of a Thanos figure being done for Marvel Legends. There's not 50,000 people watching these guys, streams and stuff like that, seeing the leak list. At the end of the day, it's such a small percentage of the people seeing that I don't believe those leak lists affect the overall sales. That's just my thoughts on it.
All right. And our friend Jersey Maniac is back. Thank you for the super chat. He says, one question: why isn't completing teams the priority I really feel it should be in Legends?
Yeah, I know he appreciated the Farrell and the Rachel Summers in the latest wave. And Beast is getting closer on the Astonishing team. So the reason is, a lot of times I guess maybe with the exception of Rachel, but like you do the heaviest hitters first in a team, right? That could maybe sell on their own, like the Wolverines or whatnot. And then it's rough when the last couple of members have a lot of unique tooling. Like, so that's tough. You got to find a spot for them. And I was thinking about this. There have been fewer like mixed waves where you like, there's been a couple, like the Zabu wave was kind of like, had some random, it was kind of like an X-Men theme, but it had some other figures. So when we don't have the slots really for it, it's hard to find a spot for them. And then it's also just to bite the bullet and pay for the tooling to do it. And so if we had no video game or big Marvel Studios obligations to hit on every year, then we would again have more resources overall to finish up some of those teams. So that's why unfortunately it takes a little while longer to do. Again, it is not this like nefarious plot from the Legends team to purposely wait on 5 years for Feral. It's just like it wasn't in the cards, and it gets brought up. Like we're aware that there are certain, particularly X-Men teams that people want to check off, and so they are in our internal discussions all the time. It's just finding the best place to do it.
I'll just say it's kind of crazy that we got Squadron Supreme before X-Force. I mean, you can't argue with that. That's crazy.
You kind of maybe you can kind of tell like who fights for certain characters the most. Like I'm a big 90s X-Men guy. Dan, you know, everyone knows he loves animated Spider-Man. But so Squadron Supreme, I think was maybe Dwight just liked the team, and we were able to do some of them on existing bodies at the time. But like that was a pretty obscure team. At least that one got knocked out really quick with
knocked out in like 1 year. It was crazy.
Yeah, Princess. Yeah, the last one in a Build-A-Figure wave.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Maniac. Okay. Mike Espinoza, thanks for being a member for 10 or 19 months, Espo. He says, was your departure part of Hasbro's reorganization? If so, when did you see the writing on the wall, and what's next?
The thing with Hasbro, it's always in a constant state of reorganization, as was my perspective of it. So I think to that first question, I would assume so, yes. And then writing on the wall, yeah, I didn't really see it. I think the writing on the wall was when I got the team's message to come to conference room 5 or whatever it was. Like, honestly, like I didn't always have my head close to the ground to hear the murmurs of things going on. And I feel like in previous rounds, there would be like, everyone kind of knew and was talking about, oh, this day, next week, next week, there's going to be a big event. But to my knowledge, that this last one in June, and it was a smaller one if you look at the absolute numbers. So yeah, unfortunately, was surprised by it and just had to kind of react in the moment.
It was crazy. I thought if anyone was safe, it was the people that they put on live streams, but I guess at the end of the day, they don't really care.
Ryan.
Yeah, I know.
If the person who won a Toy of the Year award wasn't safe, I doubt guys on streams are safe.
Yeah, but you said your boss didn't like you, and
it was a whole inside thing going on.
Okay. Thank you, Espo. All right, Blue Jay sends a $5. Thank you, Blue Jay. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you, man. Tyler Lalone with the 5. Thank you. He says, what was the thinking at Hasbro with the Mojo World box set being a 4-pack? Now he's referring to the baby Wolverine that was not a figure. It was just a prop, a statue.
So that item started off, we wanted a fun Comic-Con set, and the team had pitched the idea of doing the Mojo World Baby X-Men many times, and for whatever reason, we couldn't get that off the ground, but it was like, hey, Mojo was a Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, right? And it's one of those Toy Biz Build-A-Figures that was awesome at the time, but we wanted our crack at the modern version of it. And so I think we concepted it being the 4-pack first because we could do Longshot and Dazzler. It just kind of made sense. That Wolverine, Baby Wolvie, was kind of a throw-in. Technically not. I don't think he was technically one of the X-Men babies. He was the Wolvie character was a separate character from something else, and we grouped that in, and we kind of borrowed from the Star Wars team, who their Comic-Con strategy had been early releasing a figure, basically, right? So clearly we did a Mojo deluxe separate from the Comic-Con set with different deco and different pieces. But I think that one might have gotten revealed accidentally prior to, we wanted to do the Comic-Con one, sell through it, and then, oh, by the way, here's a completely different version as a deluxe. But wires, and it might have gotten crossed. But yeah, that was the story of the Mojo set. I do think the packaging, Jim, I remember, was the packaging artist on that one, or designer, and I think the packaging was really fun.
That's one of the few packaging that I've kept. Like, I have the Mojo box set with the remote control, the VHS tape. I kept that, but everything else I throw away. And I have almost everything from the past 23 years, which is nothing to brag about, really. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let's see. I got the Tyler's. Now, you answer this however you want, Ryan, and you don't have to answer it at all. But I'm gonna bring it up because it's a super chat. Marcus Dana, thank you for the 5. He says, was Ryan offended when Talker called him and Dan the Asian Ken dolls?
I didn't hear that. I had heard some other stuff, but yeah, you draw your own conclusions. I think there's your initial reaction to things, and then it's what you choose to, how you choose to let it affect you. And so we'll try to not to let things affect us. But yeah, you use your own judgment as to whether you think that should be considered offensive or not.
All right. I mean, Tucker and Dan like smoothed things over, and they were cordial, at least after that, especially like online.
Talker said worse things about me.
He said worse things about me. Thank you, Marcus, for the super chat. All right. Let's see here. We got Tyler Lalone with the 2. Thank you, sir. He says, was Mandarin ever on the no-fly list?
This was topical, right? Because I caught some of your guys' last stream or your recent stream, Ryan, where you were talking about the characters we want to see next, right?
Yeah.
Mandarin was on the list. Yeah, I think, again, like, it's not only the Hasbro side, everyone's got to approve it, and there is a Marvel brand assurance kind of arm that reviews everything. And I do think that, honestly, like, if you go back and look at, maybe it wasn't just Marvel Comics, it was probably DC too, but at the time, times were different back then. Certain characters were depicted, whether it's their names, whether it's their looks, whether it's the things that they did in the storyline that like probably would be viewed differently today. And so like I don't think that the version of Mandarin everyone wants from that era of comics is going to be approved anytime soon, unless things change. That was kind of my take on it. Like there was there's some other Marvel characters, if you just think of whose names probably, like just on name alone, you probably like would not want to put on a packaging with the Hasbro logo on it too. So it's in that camp.
That's mostly like a Disney call.
It's a Hasbro call too, right? I mean, but that's on the brands too. Like PR doesn't approve every single character name, but if for some reason something came out and it was like didn't go over well, I'm sure they would be like, well, did anyone on the brand teams actually, or the design teams, like think about this? So it is kind of a little bit of a responsibility on the teams working on it too, to just think through, is this going to offend anyone, I guess.
Do you think that the armored version of Mandarin from the cartoon would be on the no-fly list, or would that be a possibility?
They'd have to take that up the chain. I don't know where that line is, but that character, right? Like, I think certain iterations, hopefully people can understand. Maybe they are not personally offended, but you can maybe see why that's not the ideal representation. But like, yeah, when you start to get into an animated series, like, I don't know, maybe not.
Okay.
If things change in the entertainment again, it could open up doors.
All right. Tyler with another one. Thanks, Tyler. He says, how did the MCU affect the comic figures and the number of waves? Good question.
The short answer is that when there's a lot of big movies coming out, licensees like Hasbro and other toy companies do feel the need to justify those. So more movie waves, more movie items. And sometimes that takes away from some of the comic-based things. If you're paying attention, like you see what we did with the Thunderbolts and with Captain America Brave New World, in the past, those would have probably been full movie waves, right? Seven items. But we were able to do deluxes and 2-packs, especially for the Thunderbolts, to try to still be able to say, hey, we're addressing Marvel Studios, like with we think the most prominent characters on the teams, while not doing the full slate of number of items. Because it's not just number of figures. Sometimes it's also the number of items. A 2-pack is counted as one item, just as a single figure is counted as one item. And that's item count is this tricky metric too that is very closely watched, because if you think about it, every individual item that has a barcode needs to go through all the legal QC licensor approvals. It needs to be managed in this whole big system, right? And so the more individual items you have, the more work it is on the entire teams. So if you can kind of, it would be awesome to just do like a 10-pack, right? Then it's one item and I can get all these characters in it. And then all the legal QC people only need to check one item. But then of course your price goes up. So it's kind of like you have to trade that off.
All right. Richie Figs is here. Thank you for this $5 super chat. How often do you guys pay attention to other companies making similar characters, and how, if at all, does it affect plans in the creative process?
We pay attention to it, but we're such a long lead time that it's hard to like see something. Like if you start something and it's in progress and then you see another company does a reveal, it's kind of like, well, this is already happening, so you can't do it. Sometimes we'll see, oh, such and such a figure or statue or whatever came out and it looked great. Like we should do that in Legends, and we'll do that after the fact. Sometimes Jesse's role as being in charge of the Marvel brand for licensing, yeah, he might in his head know, oh, Hasbro is doing this, so that other company shouldn't do it, right? So he kind of like, and I think honestly, I do think he tries to be as fair with it as possible, and he kind of knows that the hot toy consumer is different than the Funko Pop consumer, is different than the Marvel Legends 6-inch action figure consumer. So sometimes there can be overlap and it's fine, and sometimes maybe not. Like Diamond Select 2, which might be less of an issue moving forward, but they had a certain, people don't understand a lot of the whole Diamond Select of it all. It was a very specific carve out that there's X number of Diamond Select figures a year, and they are sold through certain retail channels only. So that's why you never see them at Walmart or Target. Yeah. And yeah, they're able to do different things than we are. So,
all right,
in terms of costing, I want to say, not in terms of like character select. I think their financial arrangements are likely different than Hasbro's.
What is the Jada Toys Street Fighter line the reason why these exist?
I don't think it's the sole reason for it. I mean, we would.
But was it like, hey, we got to do something to go with these because, like, Marvel versus Capcom, let's get them out? Was that? It was
a supporting reason for sure. But like as Bobby well knows, we have done Marvel versus Capcom before, so we would have gone back to that independently.
But when Bobby did them, they sucked.
Well,
listen, this Wolverine is awesome, dude. This Wolverine is fire.
Remember when everyone freaked out about the single elbows? Wasn't that really fun? And then everyone gets the figure in hand and is like,
in hand, it doesn't bother me. Like this figure is really good. It's really, really good. It sucks. It's in a 2-pack, with another character that most people don't want, but that
it got good because it copied Valaver's torso articulation. But
yeah, it's got a ball joint at the waist and the diaphragm. It's a great setup. All right. Moving on, because we still have a lot of super chats here. Boney, Baney43X, thank you. Guys, LP, can you ask why some legends are put together better than others?
It's because you've got different elves at the factory putting them together, and some of them are better trained, and some of them are new. Some of them are Will Ferrell. He's not even really an elf. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, this is where we can touch on the head topic that we were having backstage before you came on, Ryan.
Let's do it. But make it quick because we got a lot to get to.
Yeah, because Scott was asking, like, why can't they make all the heads fit the same, like a universal ball? And I said, yeah, you wonder, right? Because it's super easy to do. I do it on Action Force. I did it on the 12-inch line. I don't understand. I used 4 different factories for Action Force, and we managed to get the ball joint same size on every head. I'm going to try to hold back from saying bad things about him, but it's like that's an easy design ask. That is a very easy design ask to say, hey, maybe if you didn't do it 4 years ago, you certainly could do it now. why it's something that obviously I don't want to bring up the ratchet knees, but I'm going to bring up the ratchet knees. It's like, that's a design. Listen, the ratchet knees would have never ever gotten past me. That would have been an immediate comment I would have made. But it's also the ball joint size. So it's like, I know, on the brand side, it's like, you're not really in the woods with that, but it's like people bring it up a lot, and it's like, it's easy. There's
but it's also not just the Rhode Island team, right? You guys work with our HFE, PDE counterparts, and sometimes, as I understand it, just due to the volume of figures that we have to churn through, and fewer and fewer people in places they need to be, like sometimes, as it was reflected to me, certain changes were made without the Rhode Island team necessarily wanting it, and that's just is what it is. Now, to your point, if they had made that a priority, if the same ball joint for every single figure was like the number one priority, and then they had the teams focus on it, could they have implemented it? Maybe, but there's a lot of other things I think that they would prioritize above the consistent.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's not that hard to ask. It's an easy comment, but we don't have to dwell on. We got a lot of super chats to get through.
We really do. Look who's here. We got Articulated Ninja Reviews. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Ninja. He says, I may not be a Haslab fan, but I don't hate on the workers just doing their job. Ryan, I salute you for coming on the most honest toy podcast on YouTube. Thank you, Ninja. He says, question, where will you be taking your talents to now?
Miami.
Right. not the Miami Heat. Definitely not the Miami Heat. No, thank you, Articulated, for that. And it's a big TBD. Nothing sorted out yet. Just living the life right now. No meetings, no crazy fires to put out. Just kind of laying low for a little bit.
Yeah, man, that's what I would do. Sci-Fi George, thanks for the $20 super chat. Very nice of you. Thank you, Sci-Fi George. Hi, Ryan Ting. How is it decided which version of a character is made? Namorita has 3: original, blue skin, ebony eyes, webbed hand, chimera, and blue skin, white tattoos. Namorita. Her mold could also be used for her mom, Namora. Thanks.
So we kind of talked about character selects in general. I think if I'm remembering, the Namorita from the Void Build-A-Figure wave was
That's
not
the blue one.
The blue one, but I think people wanted the blonde-haired one. That's the version people think of most. And the Inside Baseball reason for that was, at the time, Wakanda Forever, the Black Panther movie, was coming out, and in that movie, the Atlanteans, or Namor and Namorita, they were blue skinned, and so we wanted to not be contrasting, like in situations like that where maybe there is a certain iteration that appears in the movies. You want to not do a comic version that is the opposite, either the opposite gender or the opposite skin color or costume, right? You kind of like, I think from the overall Marvel perspective, they would like people to be as close to the MCU as possible, because when those movies are coming out, that's the biggest thing. And everyone needs to fall in line to support that.
All right. By the way, holy crap, dude. We have 800 people watching, 800 people between YouTube and Twitter. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button, hit that hype button as well. And subscribe if you're new. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, Tori Black, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Ryan, please confirm whether you, Dan Dwight, and the wider Marvel Legends team are specifically aware of Anthony's customs and his opinions on Marvel Legends figures and products. Thank you so much.
I am definitely aware of that. Yeah, we're aware of a lot of things now. Whether a lot of those things are fair, or I would agree with them, not necessarily all of them, but like everyone's entitled to their opinions. And we just gotta take it from there. I think hey, why don't I turn this on its head? Shout out to Anthony's Customs for doing the height measurement at a lot of his videos, because I have gone back to many of his old videos to try to get height measurements for certain things. So I appreciate your service to the community, Anthony. That is a great resource for older figures to know how many centimeters that old figure is that I need to know.
Cool. All right. Why wasn't Anthony on the list to reveal a new figure like some other YouTubers were? How come Anthony wasn't considered and used?
This was when, but way back, like when we did, yeah. Well, that was, see, this is why like we can't have nice things, because we thought honestly that was a cool, and I think we were the only brand really doing it at the time, like actually sending either a picture or the figures to people in hand. But then it became this very like, oh, why does this person get it? Why did that? And then it was like, all right, we got to shut this down. And then we can't do that anymore. So, you know, if everyone just could kind of play nice, we would have tried to spread it out eventually. But yeah, oh well.
People weren't playing nice. I can't imagine that.
It was like, why is this person got one, this person has more subscribers, this person got 2. It's like, yeah, okay.
Wait, who got 2? Because I didn't get 1.
Well, some people got 2, and that apparently was, I don't know.
Was I not considered because I'm friends with Bobby and he's the enemy of Hasbro?
Yeah, I think so. That must have been it.
That's fair, honestly.
Wear it with a badge of honor.
All right. Articulated Ninja reviews with another super chat. Thank you, Ninja. He says, was the Haslab team not allowed to actually apologize or acknowledge the poor design choice on the Sentinel's legs?
I would say we had to be careful with how it was addressed at the time. Things were shipping, like once consumer care is involved, and I had all these meetings and calls with PR and consumer care and kind of like how they ended up. When you have an issue like that on such a wide scale, consumer care basically needs to be like, look, if you are dissatisfied with your purchase for any reason, right, please send the entire thing back to us and we will refund you. There is not enough people to tackle every single corner case on this thing was wrong, that thing was wrong, the box was crushed, this piece was missing. They can't deal with that. So it's like, if you're unhappy with your purchase, send it in for a return. And so we couldn't really go on and drill down to this one specific thing, because that would just be kind of like a nightmare for just the actual logistics of it all. Like, I think we kind of stepped around it. Like right when we got to Galactus, it's like, oh, we've made sure, really, right? Like the knees are great. Like clearly we heard it and took action and tried to fix it on Galactus and Giant Man. But like, would it have made fans better if we just got out there and yes, acknowledged it and profusely apologized?
Dwight did kind of acknowledge it.
We could have.
In a condescending
Dwight kind of
way.
acknowledged it with Galactus when he showed Galactus's ratcheting legs.
Yeah. Again, we are some people in the toy sphere who work for companies, like they get more leeway on what they can do on their personal thing. And so, yeah, like if we had the flexibility to just do whatever we wanted to without repercussion, like we might have done that. But like we're again kind of bound by other stakeholders, I'll say.
Okay. Real quick, Ace wants to buy that Spider-Man set that you just showed. How much?
eBay, baby.
It's probably still on Amazon on deep clearance.
It was on clearance for years, dude.
Man.
That was down to like $20 at one time.
Oh.
Yeah. Kyle, thanks for the super chat. He says, hi, Ryan. Was there any thought of a 12-inch line of cosmic celestial figures, or is that too niche? The super Adaptoid got me excited for larger figures. Too niche.
I don't think so. I mean, when we have that list of huge characters to make a Haslab, to be a Haslab, of which Giant Man, the most recent, I think, yeah, Celestial might have been on there, but I think that is too niche for a Haslab or a made to order one. And I'm glad you like the Super Adaptoid, because maybe you were the only one. I haven't really heard many Super Adaptoid fans out there. But Bobby gets some credit for that, because that was on his Captain America.
Listen,
Always liked it.
There should be a rule. No, they shouldn't be allowed to use anything that I did. They shouldn't be allowed. I don't.
They use a lot that you did, though.
They do.
Yeah. Robert Diaz, thanks for being a member for 25 months. Question for Ryan: what was the one character you wanted to see brought into the line that you saw get shot down? Also, was there a taco truck ever discussed?
I don't too many to remember, but I was glad that we got Aunt May into the Spider-Man animated VHS 2-packs because people had been for years telling me like, no way that's going to happen. Jesse wasn't a fan of it until he was. And so I'm glad Aunt May with Doc Ock got put out. And then Taco Truck. Yeah, I think Taco Truck has been in discussions where it's like, if you do a van for Punisher, you could maybe redo it later on as a taco truck. Like there's been those kinds of discussions, but that's a tough one.
Well, do you remember Jesse killed our Aunt May in 4-inch?
Was I there for that one?
Yeah, you were there for that. It was the chameleon figure. The chameleon figure had the white head. It had the Spider-Man mask head.
Okay.
And I did an Aunt May head, and I remember I even had the sample on my desk. And it was like approved for like multiple rounds of submissions. And at the last second, he's like, guys, we can't do Aunt May. And we were like, why? He's like, because it's a female head on, and it's like, why would anybody care? It's like, dude, like, again, this is the same guy that said Kingpin was a fat guy in a suit. It was like, that was the kind of thing. And I remember saying like, look, can we put her head behind the character name card in the blister? And even that didn't go over well. But it was like, I'd planned to do Aunt May, and we could have got Aunt May. It got shot down.
She is just an old lady.
She's just an old lady, but
they
still,
did
man.
eventually make her the cartoon one. Shane, thanks for becoming a channel member. Stay tuned for the after show. I am doing an after show tonight for channel members only. But give me some time. Give like maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour after this show ends. Talker Art is here. Thanks for the super chat, Talker Art. He says, which one are you geniuses? Me. Thought of miniature comic book would be okay. Which one of you geniuses thought a miniature comic book would be a good idea? That's what he's saying.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a fun little thing. Again, this addresses the point of opportunity costs, which I noted in my list to Bobby. It's this notion of if you get one thing that isn't what you want, you think that prevented you from getting the thing you really did want. So for instance, if you walk into a restaurant and they say, oh, for the special tonight is a steak, and you're like, I don't like steak, but the fact that they put a steak special on means that they didn't choose lobster. Lobster is my favorite. It's like, well, what made you assume that they would even cook a lobster or that even had access to a lobster? So getting one thing does not mean that we passed over all the things you loved that you would have gotten instead. So that's number one. So like the Build-A-Figure, right?
Yeah.
This goes back to the topic of Build-A-Figure. Like for the reasons we've gone into, Build-A-Figures are tougher to do. So instead of having a mini comic, the option would have been to not have a mini comic. That's your choice.
Let me ask you this.
Comic or not.
Let me ask you this. If it was up to you and you had the budget, would you make every wave a Build-A-Figure wave?
But what does have the budget mean?
I don't know. Like they say, yeah, do whatever you want. I mean, what I'm saying is it wasn't up to you.
Every wave? I mean, no, unless
that's the wrong answer.
Unless for some reason it was like, we want Marvel Legends to be known for Build-A-Figure and we want to like corner it and like have that really be the thing the brand stands for. But the thing with Legends and the reason why it's had such longevity is because it covers every corner of the Marvel universe, right? So we've got movies, comics, video games, etc. We've got things people like may not love, like role play in terms of their complete figureheads, right? But there's a defined fan of the role play stuff. Like we've sold a lot of Infinity Gauntlets and shields and Doctor Doom helmets and stuff like that. And like, so that's important. But so yeah, it's not the answer you want. Like it doesn't make sense when you're running a business to even like with a straight face say that I would do that. So no, but like from the consumer standpoint, yeah, would they want to be able to get a free figure for every 6 they buy? Of course.
Yes. Let's see here. There's a lot of good questions. I got to get to Kent Heltzinger. Now, Ryan, we like to party on this show. Right, Bobby? We like to party when we get these $50 super chats. Thank you so much, Kent Heltzinger. He says, hello, Ryan and Bobby. Hope all is well. Question for Ryan. When you put so much work into these figures, but they end up at Ollie's, does that change any plans for other figures? And does it make you question those characters' choices? Thanks. Thank you, Ken Heltzinger, for an insane super chat.
You just have to have those glasses, but at all times, like
they're right here. I keep they're at the ready just in case.
Okay.
Don't.
Yes, this is a topic too that like
Mr. Ting liked it, Bobby. You can't get mad now. Ting liked it.
The whole like Ross and Ollie's like things ending up there, not just from Hasbro, not just Legends, not right. Like that is more of a over forecasting issue. I don't think something ending up there means the character shouldn't have been done. So that's number one. Number two, when things get overbuilt like to that such extreme, something is clearly kind of gone off the rails in terms of like, here's the assortment, here's what everyone wants to order. Because what happens is we go to the regional marketing teams that are global, right? But like the US team, and we'll be like, here is the plan for the year. And we will work with you to sell this into the Walmart's, Targets, and fan channels, right? And sometimes they come back and the forecasts are lower than we want. So we work with them to try to, how can we talk about this and explain why we think this has a higher potential? And sometimes for whatever reason, their numbers get boosted, and it's not like global marketing told them to boost the numbers to that extent, right? They can just place an order for whatever they want. And then through the various operational systems, people place orders, those get into the system, things get made and sent out, and then they don't sell. But kind of we are not the ones advocating for that. And unfortunately, when it ends up at Ollie's, like that's not a great look. But these companies who have all this inventory, they need to get rid of it. And if they can use other retailers as opposed to just scrapping it, like that's what they're going to do. But we take learnings from that, and not that sales team needs any help. Like they don't love sending it to those retailers either, because it's less profitable for the company. Always is selling it for less, so they buy it for less than other retailers. That's hopefully that
all the
doesn't
Disney
happen.
Plus stuff. All the Disney Plus stuff was a massive failure from the consumer perspective. Because it was all at Ollie's and Ross, and
those were overbuilt. And also, Disney might agree with you too. Why are there so fewer Disney Plus Marvel shows? It's like for a time, that was the hottest thing going. That's what Bob Iger and Chapek, who before he got replaced again by Bob Iger, Chapek's strategy was it's all going to be about Disney Plus and growing subscribers. And so when you've got Hawkeye and What If and Captain America and Falcon and She-Hulk, like when you got these things coming out, like that was a strong wave in terms of Moon Knight, the characters, but like those shows just, I think, didn't resonate the way the big blockbusters movies do. And we got over our ski tips on the orders that were placed for it. And that's why like you don't see these big Disney Plus waves anymore, really.
Yeah. Thank you, Kent Heltzinger. Appreciate that. We got DMA88. Any plans for a new Marvel Legends Tim Bradstreet Punisher? Well, Ryan doesn't work for Hasbro anymore, so you probably couldn't. You couldn't answer that anyway.
I don't know. I do think it helps to see Punisher back in Daredevil, and he's been announced for like John Bernthal Punisher has been announced for other projects. So yeah. Hopefully Punisher fans can get more comic versions too.
Hell yeah. Let's see here. Oh man, another one from Articulated Ninja Reviews. Thank you, Ninja. He says, did the term top, middle, and bottom become a good joke within the team, or was it shunned? So Dwight is the one that used the phrase top, middle, bottom.
I didn't want to bring it up.
Bobby put it on a shirt with the Vanguard. What was the reaction to that within, not just the Marvel team, but Hasbro? Was there any talk, or was it just nothing?
Yeah, I don't think anyone noticed. I mean, it's hard. Like, okay. Did he say it one time, like on a stream? And
it one time he said it at a Comic-Con. Okay. Someone was asking him about it, and it was when the Engine of Vengeance, it wasn't funding yet. Well, never funded, but it was in the middle of the campaign, and there was a lot of backlash about it. Rightly so. Not a great item, but he was asked about it, and he said something dumb.
Well, no, hold,
Yeah.
let me cut in because we did our whole show and you broke down the tooling, the cost, the parts, between the Sentinel and the EOV. And Dwight said in that interview, he said, well, there's been talk about tooling. He said, well, there's tooling with the car. There's a top, a middle, and a bottom. And we ran with it. And not just we, but I mean, we as YouTubers ran with that phrase. And then you put it on a shirt. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys got good mileage out of that, pun intended.
The EOV was great for this channel. I'll tell you right now. It was. It was.
You guys should be campaigning for. You guys should do another car. Yeah, Punisher van. That'll go great. That'll go great for you guys.
I didn't even talk about the last few Haslabs, like the Transformer and the Star Wars. I never even really brought them up. It's kind of like they're just there now. It's not that.
If I could channel Dwight, I think what he was trying to address is the amount of detail in the interior of the car. Mm-hmm. As well as the underside, which he worked with another designer who was a big vehicle expert who I think worked on a bunch of the G.I. Joe Haslabs as well, because they partnered on that to get a lot of the car details right. And so that's what I think he was probably meaning to say, but it probably just came out as, there's those three broad components to it, which, it's a funny soundbite. So
yeah,
good job, I suppose.
It wasn't just us. Let's see here. Matt with 2 T's. Thanks for being a member for 7 months. My local toy store has a black suit Spidey Craven 2-pack for $100. Should I? I would say no. I would say Spider-Man characters. There's a better version.
So many Cravens and so many black suit Spider-Mans are in market since that one. So no.
And there's a black suit Maximum Spider-Man on the way, according to the leak list. So, and Craven, I think you can get for not that much. So there you go. I wouldn't spend
Craven.
That. Huh?
Yeah, there was a retro card Craven a year or two ago. So just go get that one.
K-Dog Broadcasting, thanks for the 5. He says, what character, if Ryan could choose, was his biggest wish to work on for Legends that was unrealized? I think someone asked that, but was there a character you wanted that never got made?
I get asked this a lot. I don't know. There's a lot, but I would say most of the characters that I really wanted, because I'm a big X-Men guy, have been made at this point. I would love to find a way to get an armor in the line. Maybe hopefully people don't treat her as an essential Astonishing X-Men team member, because you'll probably have to wait a long time for them to figure out how to do that. But again, that one's tough because
even just her without the armor, I would take.
How do you do the armor, right? Does it need to be articulated? There's these questions that really change the expense of it, and so but it's just as a cool character that would be fun.
I mean, I would take armor just as the without the armor on, just put that character. I don't think she's totally essential to Astonishing, but she's kind of a big part of the book. Do her, and then I don't know, maybe just a 2-piece shell that goes over her for the armor. Something like that.
Those Transformers, the Pretender Transformer shells.
Yeah.
Where it's just front and back. Yeah. Not articulated.
Yeah, something like that. Something that would look good on the shelf. It wouldn't be very functional, but that's a hard character to do. Let's see here. Bobby, you do a pink shell thing for the Praetorians, but that will also work for an armor figure.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to do something to help Hasbro. Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll get on that.
Talker Art with another super chat. Thank you, Talker. He says he keeps saying that they have to take it up the chain. Who was up the chain?
It's the people. It's your brand leadership, right? For Marvel across disciplines. It's the action brands, kind of. There's a head of. You've got the Marvel Legends team, which is a part of Marvel, which is a part of Boys Action, which is a part of Toys, which is a part of Toys, Games, and everything, which is a part of Hasbro. And then you've got a whole licensor on the other side, which we have our key contacts. But if you think Hasbro is complicated, how complicated do you think Disney is? Right? That's the chain. There are a lot of links in the chain, and we are towards the bottom of that, and everything has to survive on its way up to make it out the market, and not everything does. And that's part of it. Unlike when you own your own toy company and have your own IP, You are the only. There is no chain. There's a big red button, I imagine, like from Staples, and you just press it, and then just stuff is just made, and no one needs to do anything else, and it just arrives in your warehouse, right, Bobby? Completed.
It's, I don't want to say how the sausage is made, but you're pretty close.
Talker sends another one. Why don't you start listening to the fans instead of kissing up to Jesse Falcon? He said it very angrily like that when he typed it.
Just give,
but no grammar errors.
You know what? I think that's a valid point. Based on this $4.99, I think we're gonna start listening to the fans. We never considered that before, but today, I'll do everything in my power, which is none at this point, to start listening to the fans. Yeah, we'll do that.
Thanks, Talker. John Papa Sergio, thank you for the 5. What's up, guys? Ryan, how often did customs made by fans inspire figures to be made?
I don't know that this is more of like a design question, right? Like, or we could see something too. Yeah, here and there you might see
like a lot from Pounds 978, right?
I don't know anyone in particular, but it's more so like, oh, this character. It's not like this look or this thing. Like there's a range of custom work. Some of the stuff is amazing. A lot of the hand painted stuff looks so good because it was a hand-painted one-off versus this mass-produced thing, right? So nothing is ever going to look as good as if you have unlimited time and resources and skill to hand-paint this one gorgeous custom versus how does that translate to a factory doing it? Like it's so, but yeah, I think we pay attention. The board, it's with social media now, with Instagram, it's a lot easier to follow accounts and see that. Whereas before Instagram was big, you'd have to like scour the message boards and really seek it out. Now it can kind of be fed to you if you choose to follow it. So I think it's more in our sphere there.
Thank you, John. I can't remember what figure it was, but there was a figure like everyone was doing this kit bash, and like a year later, like Marvel Legends put that out, like that exact kit bash. I forget what it was, but it was funny. Anyway, Padre Costanero, thank you for the 10. He says, so humbled, inspired, and grateful for Ryan coming on the show and spending time with all of us fellow collectors. Thanks for so many great Marvel Legends figures through the years and the joy they have brought.
Happy to be here. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Padre. It's very nice of you to say. Hunter Prime, what's up, man? He gives the horns and the sunglasses. Appreciate you. Thanks for the super chat. Aaron Easton says, Ryan, will Hasbro ever move off of plastic capes and do wire cloth capes for popular characters like Thor?
I think their team was looking into, we used to never, ever do soft goods, right? And then it started trickling out slowly with like little bits on like the Doctor Doom with the little collar piece and like Hawkeye with the Sky Cycle, and now the Mephisto has a piece. So like hopefully, but putting wire into a soft goods is like a whole nother level of cost, I imagine. And so I don't know. I think Star Wars actually is leading that. I'm pretty sure the team announced Darth Vader that has that, right?
Yep.
In a future
That's
item.
Coming out soon.
So,
yep.
The teams talk with each other, and if that goes well, maybe the Marvel Legends team can borrow that too, because it would work on a lot of characters.
If they do Maximum Thor, which is on the leak list, and it doesn't have a wired cape, I don't see any need to buy it. Because
I tried to do soft goods on the 80th anniversary Thor, and I went to my engineer and I said, hey, I want to do soft goods, because we had done soft goods on the 12-inch Thor. So I just figured like, okay, well, I'm going to do it because I want to do it. And he just goes, we don't do soft goods on Legends. And like, that was the answer he gave me. And I was like, okay. And I had pestered him about the flocking on Moon Boy. So I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to win this battle. But it should have soft goods. But he just said, we don't do soft goods on Legends. It was great.
All right. Moving on. Bobby, you're going to be so happy because Ramen Toy Ace said 20. That's 20 3POA podcast memberships. Holy hell, Ace, thank you so much. Very generous of you. Let's see who got those. What do you say, Bobby? Should we see who got those 20 memberships? Let's do it. Aaron Easton, Chaotic, Chris Ellis, Backwoods 78, Joe Era, The Real Tony Rebel, Griffin, Carlos Caceres, Jason Milliken, Equan, Justin Collects, Mr. Time, Maximilian Tucker, The Dark Multiverse 24/7, Brian Fox, John Papa Sergio, 610 Yo Joe Daddy, Mark Wilson, Wall of Nerd, James McWater. Thank you so much, Ace, for 20 3POA podcast memberships. What's up, Bobby? Okay, we can move on now. Thank you so much, Ace. That was very nice of you. We can move on. Ryan, are you okay? Are you weirded out right now? Is everything all right? You going to be all right?
All good.
Okay, just making sure. Gets weird. Cosmic Gladiator, thanks for being a member for 23 months. He says, Ryan, do you think we will ever get an Army Builder wave?
Oh, you wouldn't need to do it as a wave. You could just do one-off items like we did with things like the Scroll and like the Hellfire Club Guard. I think we did a couple of 2-packs, right? There was the Shield male agent 2-pack, and then there was the female split Hydra Shield female 2-pack. So maybe more Army Builders. That's the thing where like we would try to use the pulse for those types of initiatives to, they started, we were building in value to it because it was just in a plain little box, even before plastic free packaging
for $15 for 15
right at the
bucks.
time, like
awesome.
when 20. So that was something that I really pushed hard on. And my goal for that was to get the Hellfire Club as a new character. So we had to go through the existing AIM and Hydra, but hopefully the new Pulse team people there and the brand teams can continue work, because that works across brands. I think Star Wars is actually doing it, right? They're doing in Vintage Collection, I believe. I want to say they're doing like
the 4-packs.
Yeah, so like
and Black Series is doing 2-packs, like the Stormtrooper and a Rebel Trooper, stuff like that. A droid and a clone. Yeah. At a lower cost.
Let the teams know which Army Builders you want to do.
I think a lot of people would like a regular Scroll released again. I mean, I know you have no say in this anymore, and I think the Hellfire Guards go for a lot right now. But anyway, we'll move on. Figure Fight Club, thanks for being a member for 14 months. Amazing show so far. Which Legends launch are you most proud of, and why?
I think the Haslabs in general were just such beasts of projects to work on that I was even honestly proud with the Engine of Vengeance from a marketing standpoint, because I was able to go through Marvel and get Felipe Lopez, and I'm forgetting who the writer's name was, but I got both of the guys to agree to come on, and we did an interview with them. It's like how often would you be able to actually interview the comic creator? Most of these comic creators are very old or no longer with us, right? Like you can't ask Jack Kirby why he made certain things, but I was able to do that, and we had this awesome display at New York Comic Con in the Marvel booth that year, and I had to like haul that car in every morning and break it down and take it with me every night because I couldn't just leave it in the convention center. So I was really proud just of that project, even though it didn't fund, but I'm also proud that we like learned a lot from it and came back with a successful Giant Man, and then morphed that Giant Man learnings into this current made to order model of people are enjoying their Dragon Man figures. I think the Sentinel is going to be amazing. You've got Mephisto, and then whatever other future projects are coming, that it's all like a thread that starts with the Sentinel, had some bumps in the road, and it's now where we are. So I think that collectively, I can talk about those like forever. Yeah, well, I love those.
With the Haslab Sentinel, I mean, that did so well. I think after the campaign ended, you guys threw in an extra tentacle, right? Or was that when the campaign was still running? But you guys did throw in an extra tentacle at the end.
We've added an extra tier, which was the Tri-Sentinel head.
Okay.
Mid campaign, because we had surpassed all the other tiers. And then, yes, we put in an extra tentacle because we were able to do it. And like we're probably out of time now for this stream because of all these chats. But like on the notion of tiers, right? Everyone's idea of how tiers are costed out gets kind of twisted, and we can cover that maybe a future time, but how things are built and how the financials work on that.
Was there ever any talk of getting the Giant Man Scroll head out there since it didn't fund at a later date?
Well, number one, I asked, hey, can we just throw this in? And I was shot down because of financial reasons. And then I pitched an idea of what if we did an item where it was the scroll head and then some other 6-inch scrolls? But then if you think about it business wise, like who's going to really want the scroll head? It's only a portion of the people who back the Giant Man, and it's not going to be all of them. So you just kind of look at that and you say, it's maybe not justified that way, but I wish you would have gotten to it.
That would have been cool. Fun. I think there's enough people that want scroll army builders to be brought back that would have sold. But
then also, what if it was like, here's a scroll 2-pack or however many, and then it has the Giant Man head. We're going to need to include the Giant Man the scroll Giant Man head in the cost of the item. What if people are like, don't put them together because I didn't back this. I just want the scrolls, but I didn't back that. Like you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah, you can't. That's true.
Scenario.
All right, Blake Tarpley, thanks for being a member for 13 months. He says, what about Uncle Ben? No joke. He is so important.
I think if Marvel publishing or brand assurance would allow it, like I would go for it. He'd be easy to do, right? We have civilian bodies, like
it's like the Stan Lee body and some bullet holes and like a headstone.
Well, maybe the pre wrestling night of the wrestling match.
Alive Uncle Ben. Yeah. Okay, that'd be fine. Thank you, Blake Tarpley. We got John Papa Sergio. Thanks again. He says, I can't believe Slingers figures were never made.
Me neither. Outraged. What is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Logan Wood, member for 23 months. Thank you. He says Vala cannot sanction pants buffoonery.
100%.
Yeah. But he has no control of me. Scott Hughes, he says, Mr. Ting, can you comment on how Haslabs went from dream projects like Unicron and Sail Barge to simply slightly more expensive items like Giant Man?
I think there aren't that many dream items, really. Like once you start, for Marvel in particular, like once you start to go through them all, right? Like items that enough people would want to add and to their collection. And we kind of went through how we started with Sentinel and now at where we are now with the made to order items. Like for Marvel, that's what the business warranted. Whereas for Star Wars and Transformers and G.I. Joe, they keep doing successful Haslabs. And so from a business perspective, they should continue to do what works, but time will tell. And they're going to have to listen to their consumers to see if every item is still that dream kind of item. And also too, like it was such a toll for the Star Wars team to launch that first Haslab, just knowing how anything at Hasbro, to do anything is very complicated. So for that team at the time to pitch in the idea of a crowdfund and figure out how to execute it and then actually fund, like they unlocked a lot of doors. And part of the way they were able to do that was really position this first item as a dream item. The Sail Barge had never been done. It is literally like one of the things that Star Wars fans most wanted. And so they kind of leaned into that. And so there's a little bit of a legacy to that messaging, which I don't necessarily feel is as relevant as it is today. Like a lot of companies are doing Kickstarter items or large items or what have you. And so there's a lot of competition out there. And so maybe we're kind of leaning away from that. This is the one thing. This is the single one thing that will complete your collection and you need to get it. It's more just like, hey, here's this item that needs to come out to retail this way for reasons. And would you want to back it or not? And if you don't, then it doesn't get made. And then that's what it is.
All right. Three the Hard Way Show. Thanks for the super chat. Why was the 1963 X-Men not made for their anniversary? Could have had the Mimic as a Build-A-Figure for 2023. A major disappointment for X-Men diehards.
Yes. I wanted Mimic, and Mimic might be actually one of my answers to what's the figure you wanted the most and didn't get out, right? So that Mimic with all the powers, the wings, the beast feet, the optic blast. The 2023 was the anniversary for X-Men, but it was also the Avengers anniversary that year, I believe. So we had a smaller X-Men program in the spring, and then we had the bigger, I believe, right? And then we had the bigger Avengers program in the fall. So we just kind of like ran out of items, honestly. And at least we got to do the Blob, which was, I think, up on our list of things we wanted to do, and complete or get very close to completing that Jim Lee yellow and blue set from the cover from 275. But agree, Mimic would have been awesome.
I was surprised that those went to Ollie's. I thought everyone wanted that team. Daddy Ivo, thanks for the super chat. Is this 3POA episode a job interview to work for Bobby Valaverse? Bobby Valaverse, that's your name, Bobby.
Apparently.
Great interview. Where can I get a 3POA shirt and the Pandora joint Bobby is wearing? Love the show. I'll have a new merch store soon. So stay tuned for that. And is this a job interview? I don't know if Bobby needs a marketer.
No, as much as I love Ryan and I would love to work with Ryan again, I kind of do it all over here. Although I could probably use the help.
All right. The Pandora shirt is on Valaverse.com.
Yeah, I'm launching a new merch store next week or the week after, and there will be a ton of new designs. A lot of Pandora apparel for guys and gals. Maybe some undergarments. But
you just throw 3POA shirts up there too?
No.
All right.
I can. But no.
Okay.
I can. We'll talk. Maybe if you stop playing shitty dance music, maybe I'll put them on my site. I think that's a fair compromise. I think that's a very fair compromise.
It's like I'm getting a new Teespring.
I did get Ryan Ting on the show.
That's true.
You're welcome.
Get Dwight. John Papa Sergio, the super chat says, just make the most wanted tiers made to order for Haslabs. I think that's kind of the direction it's going. Well, at least it has been for the last year or so, right?
For Haslabs, so I mean, if you want to take Mephisto as that example, that's exactly what happened with Mephisto.
Yeah. After the injured event. Sorry, I'm plugging something in here. Okay. Thank you, John. And another one from John. He says, what kind of cosmic comic people are you? Slingers is Spidey's 4 separated identities that later became a legit team: Dusk, Ricochet, Prodigy, and Hornet. Thank you
awesome.
for letting us. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know. I don't know why you guys didn't make it. Do you know why? Because it never came up, probably.
I am not the biggest Spider-Man comic expert, but maybe it came up. Were they all? I can Google them here. If they're all,
no, don't Google it. We got to move on. But thank you, John.
Ask yourself if it's a lot of new tooling or not, too.
Let's see here. Oh, I missed this one from John Garrett. Thank you, John Garrett. He says, thanks for being patient and answering all our questions tonight, Mr. Ting. I was wondering when the Marvel Legends Stan Lee figure was produced, why it went from a build-a-figure in a Black Panther 2-pack to a single release.
That was a fun morning. So yeah, he was originally going to be build-a-figure in 2 different 2-packs for whatever reason, and something happened in the news at the time, and we were told to shut that figure down, and so we had to cancel those 2-packs and redo them all without the build-a-figure pieces. Then things changed again. And we were able to do a Stan Lee figure, and then we had to negotiate a deal with Stan and his team at the time and get that. And our loophole for that was it was not a Stan Lee figure. It was his cameo from the first Avengers movie in the end credits. So that was how we were able to do that one and still put it under the Marvel branding. But things change, and you just kind of roll with it. And that's what happened in that circumstance.
All right. Thank you, John Garrett. Talker Art with another one. He says, Ryan, is it true that Bobby got fired because he refused to juggle Jesse's balls?
That sounds like a question for Bobby and not me.
I think it is true, and I think we should go with that.
I bet Bobby would answer that if you did a $50 super chat instead of these $5 little ones. So
nice.
Mobile Recluse, thanks for being a member for 25 months. Ryan, which toy line would you like to be a part of next?
I don't know. I'm not gonna call my shot like that. I don't even know if I'm gonna be necessarily in toys in the immediate future. But I mean, I've always been a big Ninja Turtle guy, as you can probably see, and so I don't know if I were just dream job, something down the line, something involving turtles, just because it's so important to my childhood.
All right, we have got 3 super chats left. Tyler Lalone, thank you for the super chat. Why don't the skin tones never match the same character across releases?
is that for like a particular actor? I'm assuming if they've
Or like
appeared,
you know, this Wolverine will have a different skin tone than the previous Wolverine, that type of thing.
Well, for comics, there's so much variation, so I don't even think we would want to do that necessarily if we had the ability to, maybe. But that's just, it's just a volume thing, and it's one of those things where it's like you can prioritize certain aspects, and I think the team does when it's a movie figure. They've gotten to the point where the movie figures are all reviewed like extra doubly whatever in hand to make sure the skin tones are right or as right as possible. But yeah, that's regarding that.
All right. Thank you. Stormfire Blizzard, thank you for the super chat. Star Wars Ewok Village Haslab and Sherwooded Forest Tier. Sign me up for 2. That'd be cool. That would be a cool Haslab, Ewok Village. Thank you, Stormfire Blizzard. K-Dog Broadcasting, thank you. What is the best X-Men issue storyline ever from 1963 to present? Bobby, what do you think?
Too many.
The Phoenix, Dark Phoenix saga?
I was always a big fan of the idea of the Onslaught storyline. Like, I know it got ridiculous with all the crossovers and stuff, but the idea of it, the idea that they took Professor X and basically turned him bad, I thought was awesome. And then when Wolverine got his adamantium ripped out, was a great storyline.
My opinion, I like Astonishing X-Men. I like, people are going to hate me for this one, but House of X, Power of 10. I really like that one. And it's not really X-Men, but Uncanny X-Force was awesome. It's got Wolverine in it. It's kind of X-Men, but it's X-Force. Ryan, do you read X-Men comics?
I did more so back in the day, so I definitely remember the that Fatal Attractions run with the Wolverine adamantium. The fact that the issues had holograms on the cover too, probably
and like
the deal.
Great holograms. Like they were really good holograms.
Imagine how expensive those must have been,
right?
Marvel to make. My comic reading was like concentrated, like when I was growing up, and then this period when I was in college and like had 4 years with like a comic store on campus and less to do with your time. So like the big things that happened, like House of M happened during that time, Civil War, which but if it's only X-Men stuff, like maybe House of M was kind of cool. I don't know.
All right. Let's see here. Last one until the next one comes in. Cerrone Games Go. Thanks for the 5. Ryan, how surprised was the Marvel team when the Haslab Sentinel got backed so fast? And was the tier add-ons a response to that?
Yeah, we were surprised. It was our first one. I think it was a couple of days in, if I remember. And we added on the Tri-Sentinel head as a tier because all the other tiers had been met so fast. And the funny thing with Haslabs is once you put stuff out there in the marketing, then you're sort of setting the baseline. Right. And there have been instances from not just Hasbro, but other companies where like everyone panics and it's like, we're throwing in something. And from a pure business standpoint, you should never do that. But invariably that happens because once you do that, the credibility kind of gets a little murky in terms of like, if you say this is the offering, but then you start moving things around. That's why for the Engine of Vengeance, which I will proudly say we did not change the offering. We moved around some of the order of the tiers, I think, and the number of backers that would be needed, but we weren't throwing in things necessarily like that.
Hold on there, pal.
You threw in the head.
Well, yeah, because if something was an early bird and then it didn't fund by the early bird, and then you end up throwing it in like later, like, we'll give it to you anyway.
The head. Yes, you're right. You're right. We did. I think I was like sick during that part. Dan and Dwight had to do the stream at the end by themselves because I was homesick, which is why I wasn't on it. So I forgot about that. But like, yeah, in terms of, we didn't throw in a whole new figure or change like some of these other crowd funds you see out in the marketplace do crazy things. But it's tough. It's tough to do.
All right, that's all the super chats we got through them.
That was
thanks for coming on, man. This was a lot of fun. I have a lot of questions here that we couldn't get to, so maybe we could do a part 2 at some point if you want in the future.
Yeah.
But
I prepared this thing. Can I, as an aside, just try to educate people on this? So
yes, absolutely.
Regarding the hashtag Toy Biz made it better. Okay. And
that's a thing.
I didn't know that existed.
I don't know. But everyone's saying, oh, this version Toy Biz made it better. Okay. And in a lot of cases, I see where they're coming from. And this is the kind of stuff that, like, as a Hasbro representative, you kind of can't get into. But, like, again, this is all publicly available information, right? $8 Marvel Legends figure Series 1 that came with a diorama base and a comic book, right? That was awesome. That was also over 20 years ago. And also, if you guys look up the business nature between Toy Biz and Marvel, right? In 1990, Toy Biz signed a licensing deal with Marvel that allowed them to pay 1% royalties to Marvel to make figures based on their characters. In return, Marvel also got 46% equity in the Toy Biz company. So Toy Biz, or I should say Marvel, was betting that equity would pay off further on down the line, right? Flash forward a couple of years, Marvel went through a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1996 and 98. Toy Biz effectively bailed them out, meaning they kind of came to the rescue as other shareholders and groups were fighting over control, and they kind of said, we will merge, Toy Biz will merge with Marvel to become one entity, Marvel Enterprises, and in return, we now pay 0 royalties to it. And yes, that saved Marvel from bankruptcy. Marvel clearly got their stuff together. Marvel Studios was founded years later. The rest is history. But like when everyone says Toy Biz made it better, had better paint, had comics, had diorama pieces, that's what paying 1% to 0% royalty gets you. It's different. Not only talking about inflations and material costs and everything, like the whole business nature between Marvel and Toy Biz was very beneficial for both parties, and it allowed awesome stuff to be made. That is not the business relationship. That is not how toy licensors work today by any means, regardless of what company you're talking about. So guys, like, spare me the Toy Biz did it better. Why are Marvel Legends $27.99? Yeah, because for real world reasons, right? Like, so anyways, I just prepared
I've never seen that hashtag before.
Look it up. Well, I might have inadvertently created it, but like look up the history of it, guys. Like, it's a significant, one of the highest royalty. Like, Disney gets the most for their IP, like, just regardless of what it is, Star Wars, Marvel, Frozen, like what have you, right? That's obvious, right? And then compare that to the early years, like where they were paying nothing. It was 0. It was literally 0. So you're welcome.
Interesting.
Also, tooling to cut the steel was so cheap back then. Deco hits were like a penny. Like it was the Wild West back then.
Toy Biz was awesome, but I mean, the figures don't really hold up.
Yeah, I don't think Toy Biz did anything better. Like, yeah, they're 30-year-old figures. They certainly don't hold up.
Yeah.
They were able to put more plastic and paint into it. I think clearly our technology has advanced, right? Yeah. For everyone.
Like I said, back then, a deco hit was a penny. Like, you count deco hits, it was a penny. So yeah, that shit, like, you know, you could just, it's another penny, you know, so you could do washes and all these other deco applications. Now it's like it's different. A deco hit isn't just like that anymore, because now you have spray masks and you have tampo hits and you have inkjet printing, you have washes, and it's all different now. Each one's priced different, and it's so much more expensive now for deco.
The worst era of Legends was when Hasbro first took over. Those early Hasbro waves,
because they were used that was old Toy Biz tooling.
Some of it was, that
they were forced to use.
Those few years were just those were bad. I wasn't really collecting them at the time. Okay, a couple more came in. John Battle, thanks for being a member for 3 months, John. He says, Ryan, my question is, why wasn't Luna Snow and etc. not made?
Who's that again?
Why?
Probably for reasons.
Take your pick. Why was any character that wasn't made not made?
Is Luna Snow a Rivals character?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Rivals is brand new, and it takes us 18 months to make an action figure. So
I mean, the leak lists show all kinds of Rivals figures coming, including Punisher, which has a really cool design for that game. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Baldylocks sends in $2. Thank you, Baldylocks. Okay, we are all caught up. Nope, another one came in. He sent in another $2. He says, bruh, ambulance chase much. Ambulance chase much.
I don't
know. Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. Okay, that's all I got. Members, stay tuned for the after show. Give me a little bit of time. I'll probably start that up in 30 minutes to an hour. Ryan, again, thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun having you. Again, I got a ton here. We could do a part 2 if you want at some point in the future. And Bobby, you got anything?
I'm glad you came on, man. It was great having you on.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks to those comments I did see and the questions that were fair, legitimate questions. Like, this is the way to have these kind of conversations, and I appreciate you guys for inviting me and keeping it real here. So thank you.
Yeah, man. Oh, we keep it real. You hear that? We keeps it real. Thank you, everyone. Bobby, sign us out.
Man, why you gotta do this to me?
Say something crazy.
We didn't get to talk about it. Next time Ryan Ting comes on, we're gonna talk about mixed power, baby. Peace.
Yo, this one's for LaserPants, the king of the stream. Ripping mics on 3POA, living the dream. In the face of hate, he's raw, gritty, and real. Let's bark at the haters, tell them how we feel. LaserPants, man, he's running the game. Action figure goat, putting on the shame. With Bobby Vala, they spit fire, no cap. 3POA podcast, where the real ones clap. Informative, dropping knowledge on the toy scene. Entertaining like a flick on a big screen. From Mayfex joints to Mezco's dope flare. Marvel Legends stack, yo, they don't compare. Action Force rising, Jada Street Fighter kick, Savage Crucible heat, collecting the pics, unboxing that fire, every figure's a thrill. Laser and Bobby keeping it real. Where my collectors at? Throw them hands up high. LaserPants and Bobby, they the truth, no lie. 3POA, bring the heat, no chill. Real talk, no shills, keep it raw, that's the deal. Viper Island's a clown. We call them out, never backing down. Viper Island, man, what a joke, what a fraud. Lying like a cuck, getting dissed by the squad. Talking big game, but he's losing a plot. LaserPants roast him, leaves him tied in a knot. No cowards here, they don't duck from the fray. Controversy they'll slay, let the truth light the way. Calling out the fakes, yeah, they swing that blade. Ain't afraid of your tears, watch your feelings fade. No shills in this camp, they don't bend for the cash. Spitting facts on the mic, leaving haters in ash. From the streams to the pod, they the voice of the streets. For the figure collectors, they the ones that we need. Where my collectors at? Throw them hands up high. LaserPants and Bobby, they the truth, no lie. 3POA, bring the heat, no chill. Real talk, no shills, keep it raw, that's the deal. Viper Island's a clown. They call him out, never backing down. Viper Island's crying, yo, he's lost in the sauce. Talking trash online, but he's taking a loss. LaserPants last, man, you're weak, take a seat. Bobby chimes in, yo, your lies can't compete. They don't bow to the drama, they don't flinch at the hate. Real collectors, know they serving up plates. Every stream's a banger, every pod's a gem. Laser and Bobby, yeah, the best of the men. No filter, no fear, they don't cater to clowns. If you're acting like a fool, they'll shut you down. From the figures to the facts, they the voice of the game. 3POA forever, etch it into the fame.